Hello, guys, and welcome to a new episode of a new podcast approaches. It's your true wonderful guy. He's a true star, you know. Well, the star's died, so I guess I'm just golden now. But here introducing my fellow podcast bro.
And this is AntKeepsGaming from the Smashleak. Welcome back yet to another new episode of a new podcast approaches. This is our most revolutionary episode by far because we're getting a completely different platform here, which is very exciting.
Did we get a female guest finally?
Sadly, not yet. But we'll introduce the guests right after.
Hey, it's SpaceKing again. And thankfully today I am neither tired nor dying, but I am still in a prison cell. However, this week they have provided me with pizza. So things are looking up right now. Although I can't say how that'll turn out tomorrow when they inevitably take the pizza away and I start crying again, like they did with the PlayStation 4. So now I will give things off to Elliot.
I believe you get that pizza. If you haven't had it by then, you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, yes. I'm Elliot. I'm also known as Waluigi for President on Reddit. I'm the moderator of the Waluigi subreddit. Very happy to be here. And I'm here to talk about Waluigi. And if there's one thing I'm very good at talking about, it is Waluigi. Seriously, ask anyone. But not my parents. They dread to hear the name again.
That's beautiful.
I'm serious.
Oh, that's good.
And what's the strain addiction to this Waluigi fellow? Is there someone you need to tell us?
No, well, I mean, the first person. I've got a guy for that. But I don't need to name drop the gun. I don't need to name drop him. So, how are we starting on this then?
Well, we might as well start by saying we are going to be reacting to the Nintendo World Direct to start off with.
Yeah, because it's the only time a podcast has ever overlapped with an opportunity to watch a direct.
We were so close to reacting to Sephiroth's presentation.
Anyways, how do you guys want me to do this? Are we gonna am I gonna stream out the image of the stream itself, or are we just doing the voiceover?
I mean, I've got it just on my screen here, so I suppose we can just watch it on our own. It's not that kind of big presentation where all the things have to be in sync, you know. We're not waiting for another Smash character unless they suddenly reveal, unless the Waluigi mascot costume just walks out and he's holding a little Smash invitation there before he gets on the ride.
But do we want the audio from the direct to play?
I think it would be best if we do that. Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah, probably best for the sake of the viewers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's causing it, but I'm hearing the crackling noise again.
What crackling?
I've changed devices. It can't be me this time. Unless it is. Hope it's not.
I feel like it's something to do with Apple products.
Yeah.
Coming in fine before.
Sure, it has been fun before.
I'd ask if you have a headphone jack, but you clearly don't.
Sadly.
What? Well, I don't, but I'm using the thing that they give you where you put the headphones in the charging ports. That's handy. It's not like I needed to use that charging port or anything.
Oh, wait. I'm guessing you have an iPad Pro?
I don't think it's a Pro. It's an iPad Mini. I mean, that was what I was using before. Now I'm on my iPhone 6S.
If anyone sees weird stuff on the podcast, my apologies. I'm trying to get this where you guys can see the video of the direct stream. And okay, so set up. So you just now I'm just streaming out a stream of Nintendo's bullcrap. Great.
Love it.
Oh my god, look.
I live.
Now we can
look
look at all of this.
Free melee, guys. Free melee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. I'm imagining that's what the entire live chat is right now.
Let me check.
Yeah, it's a decent portion of it, but I see a lot of repeat offenders here. you know, with stuff like
Wait,
free.
check the chat right now. You're gonna see something very cool.
Wait, I have something very important to do. There we go. 1 minute. I have something. I have a mission right now. Fortnite.
So do you want to full screen the
I can guarantee you that it wouldn't work. So the best I can do is theater mode. When I full screen videos on OBS, it doesn't work.
皆さん、
Well, it's
こんにちは。
starting,
マリオのお父
Here we
さんの
go.
宮本です。今回のダイレクトはゲームのお知らせではありません。ついに
Shigeru
日本の
Miyamoto,
ユニバー
let's
サルスタジオジャパン
go.
にリアルなマリオの世
Mario's
界を
dad.
体験できるスーパーニン
Yes,
テンドーワールドが
Mario's
完成しました。
dad.
そこで今日は
I didn't
私
think he'd be
宮本
presenting,
が
but I'm not
直
disappointed.
接世界中の皆さんに世界で初めてスーパーニンテンドーワールドの中を紹介していきたいと思います。
He's going to show
あ
us
ちら
the
の
grave of
大
Paper
きな土
Mario's
管が入
originality.
り口です。それでは、Here we go!
Yeah, let's go, Igzo.
さあ、中はどうなってる
I
でしょうね。
I gotta say though, I do
ゲー
love
ム
the
の中では
concept
ね、
of
土
Miyamoto
管の中
hosting
は
a
あまり描い
direct.
てこなかったので、実際にリアルなサイズのワープ土管を作ると、どん
Doesn't
な
even do this stuff.
中身がいいのかってことで、いろいろアイデアをみんなで議論しました。でたくさんのアイデアが出て、それを全部作ったら一つのアトラクションになるということで、
They said we don't show the pipe, but I'm pretty sure they showed the inside of the pipe in the Rio 2016 closing ceremony. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was so cool.
It
さ
was.
あ、ワープして出てきた先はどこなんでしょうね、ここ
Telling you,
は。
if I was a kid, I would be loving this right now.
ビーチ上のロビー
I'm
のよ
liking
うで
it.
す。
They got
Oh,
Mario
wait, is that the
64
Mario?
paintings.
音楽が流
Oh
れて
my
ます
god,
ね。
jump
That is
この音楽聴い
painting.
てると、
That is a
ほら、
reference.
スーパーマリオ64の
I know what that is.
こうして
There's lots of music from Super Mario series that will play around the
音
park.
楽が流れてるの
One of
で
those
楽
better
しん
than
でくださ
Waluigi
い。
Pinball.
壁に絵もありますよ。
When I have pinball machines.
Oh, that was Bowser Jr. on the painting there.
さあ、それ
Wait,
では
some more sunshine.
表に出てみましょう。
So,
I refuse to believe that isn't a teaser for a new Mario game.
はい。ここ
That
が
looks
スー
like
パーニンテン
CGI, but
ド
it's
ー
not.
ワールドです。本当に作ってしまいました。現実に見ると
Unless
大
it is,
迫
I
力
literally
で
cannot tell.
中央にマウントビンポールがそびえ立って
a Mount Beanpole. Is
そ
that
の
not
手
from
には旗があり
Mario
ます
3D World?
このピッチ上の前の
Yeah,
広
that
場
is
からエ
literally
リ
the
ア
one
全
from
体を
3D
見て
World,
み
I'm
ましょう。
pretty sure.
Yeah,
向こう
this
の方には
does look
ロシア
this
リボンの
does look like they
ステップが見えます
barfed 3D World out into the
それ
real
ぞれが
world.
ゲームのように動いています。
And
い
people
ろん
still
なキャラ
call
ク
it
ターが
a
いて
port.
本当のマリオの世界キノコ王国に来たみたいです
I like the Piranha Plant
そ
just
れではちょっ
opening
と歩
its
きながら見てまいりましょうか
Oh my
さあ
god, it's
こ
our
のスー
favorite
パーニン
Smash
テンドーワールド
character.
の中はいろんなキャラクターが動き回ってるんで
I
すけど
had
も
a
そ
lot.
れだけじゃ
Don't
ないん
remind
ですよ
me.
ゲストの皆さんが自分でイン
Is
タ
there
ラ
a
ク
lot
ティ
of
ブに
moving
関わることもできます
You know, Miyamoto based his entire design
Hatena
ethos off of
Blockの
Nintendo
アクティビティ
being
の
the
ところに来ま
Japanese
した
Disney.
私
So I
が
guess
作
it
ってる
kind of
これ
makes sense that he
パワーアップバ
works.
ンドがあると
He's the
さらに楽し
architect
く遊べます
behind the guy who
こ
would
んな
then
感じ
make
で
their equivalent
手
to
首に
Disney
今つける
World.
んですけどもこのパワーアップバン
Oh
ドを
yeah,
使って
they're
エリア
showing
内
off
の
those
あちこ
power
ちに隠
bands.
された秘密を
Mario,
探したり
Luigi,
いろんなアク
Peach,
ティビティを
Daisy,
遊んだりする
Yoshi,
と
Toad.
このパワー
That's
アッ
it.
プバンドに記録されます
Yep.
そしてバンドについている QR コードを読み込むとスマートフォンのアプリと連動して
That comes with an
Uh,
app as well.
with your
状態を
smartphone,
知ることが
watch
で
how
き
it's
ます
only
ね
going to be iOS
試しにや
or
ってみましょう
Android
か
only, not
こ
both.
このハテナブロックをパワーアップバンドの手で叩き
Okay,
ます
that's cute.
コインって言いましたねそれでスマートフォンの方を見てみるとちゃんと1枚カウントされま
They've
す
got
よ
to
ね
release more of those bands as
こ
time
の
goes
感
on.
じでこのバンドを使ってエリア内の
Ah,
いろん
that's
な
what
ところで
happened to
使われ
Wii
てい
U
る
stamps.
ください
That's what happened to Wii U stamps.
さらにこのバンドは
Oh, I
実は
got
ア
a
ミーボの機能もついているので
if
自
I'm able
宅
to
に
do
帰ってからも使ってみ
No
て
Wait,
ください
did you get-
それではもう少し先に行ってみましょう
No, please. We need to get a a thing for like you sit on a bench and then you get a moon.
すごいね近くに迫力ありますよね
Oh wait, how are those
さらにいろんなものが動いてます
standing, levitating in the
こ
air
ちらに
if
で
they're
っ
not
かい
connected to
バック
anything?
フラワーがいましたねこれ
Probably
も
like clear wires or something.
今日は紹介
Kids
し
are
ま
gonna
す
climb up and try and touch that. coin.
眠ってるようなのでそっと起こさないように行きましょう
Yeah, it's. Wait, how are they doing with wires?
さあ
I'd be losing my mind right now if I was 11 again.
のこのこですねのこのこのアクティビティこれを少し今日は紹介しましょう
I mean, this is cool and all, Miyamoto,
Aye.
but weren't there supposed to be
あ
rides
の
here?
のこのこのいる土管の上にある
You want the key?
鍵が欲
I
しい
mean,
んです
this
ね
is the walking space between the rides.
早速遊んでみましょ
Look, it's perfect as it is.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
that's
this is
touch-
this is the walked space between the rides. Because this
What's
is
that?
where everybody's
Power
gonna be
up and
waiting in
power
line for
down.
9
Start
hours.
Oh yeah, you know I
That's so
I'm not-
cool.
I'm not that used to that. You see,
timing
believe it or
を
not,
合わせて
I
捉え
have
とダメ
a
なん
mild
ですね。
disability, right? There's like just in it's like mild cerebral palsy in my legs.
Oh.
Because of that, I had to wear splints for a while. And while we went to Disney World, my dad had the ingenious idea of putting me in a wheelchair for the whole time.
このようにタ
And the
ッチ
reason
し
he
て
did that was, well, partly so I didn't have to get the
鍵がもらえ
whole
ます。
place in splints.
その鍵
But
はパワ
also,
ー
he
パン
got
ド
to
に記
cut the
録されてい
lines
ます。
every time.
こういう
You could
体
go
験
on a
できる
roller coaster
遊
like
び
7
を
times in a row
ア
in
ク
the
ティビテ
span
ィ
of
と
a
呼ん
half
でい
an
ます
hour.
コインブロックのようなちっちゃな体験と
It was insane.
ちょっと大型のアクティビティがあるんですけども、いくつかのアクティビティの中で3つの鍵を手に入れると最終アクティビティ
I do like the idea of using the park for like real life video games. I do
それ
like
で
that
はもう
concept.
一つ見てみましょうか。
Wait.
Oh, that's the underwater.
How do you
the underground
battle?
section's cool.
Oh yeah, this is so cool. But how do you battle?
ここから地下ステージです。
I have no clue. I
本当
mean,
に巨大な
I guess you touch the back of a shell like you do with the Lego
リア
sets.
ルな地下洞窟を作ってしまいました。怪しい雰囲気ですよね。気をつけてください。
That's good. That's that.
Whoa, me and
ブロック
Mudge,
見つけ
calm
ました。
down.
ちょ
You're
っと
gonna
ここへ
break
行って
this
みま
thing.
すね。さっきから
You just know that some
気になる
kid's
ところ
gonna
があり
get
ますよ
hurt
ね。
punching those
こん
blocks
なマー
too
クを見
hard.
つけたらちょっとバンドを
Yeah,
出してみま
most
す。
definitely.
Oh, Bowser.
I know
クッ
him.
パが現れました。
Where's
最終ボス
Waluigi?
です。そんなわけない
Where's
です
the
ね。
Waluigi
さら
sprite
に
from
奥
the
に
original Super Mario Brothers
There's
game?
Puffle. Where's Cheeto?
Is that a reference to 3D World and that set like how like you'd randomly find 8-bit sprites
これ
throughout
ね、
the
僕
game?
気をつけてくださいよ。
Well, yeah, but
Oh
all
yeah,
of, but
that's supposed to win
Bakatsu.
Odyssey.
I thought all of those were
こっ
Luigi.
ちのボブ編を気をつけてください
It
ね。
was 2013, remember? He had a year apparently.
Wait, it exploded.
爆発しました。
What?
That's gonna be flashbacks to Bobby. Real people would know who Bobby is.
あれみんなどうしたんですか
Wait,
ちっちゃくなってますよ。
is this what I
Janto,
think it
take
is?
the
It's
side,
like
eh?
wait, is it just like the blocks becoming more big, or is it like one of those floors that you found in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where like it looks like you get much taller on one side, and then the other side becomes smaller?
That's actually kind of cool.
今度はコインがもらいました。1枚だけですけど
If they
ね。
use one of those floors, that would be interesting.
さら
It's
に奥
interesting
に
that half the park is the exploring part. Or
巨大
is
な
this
ボム
like a
兵が
line
い
or
ま
something?
す。踏み潰されないようにしたいですね。この巨大なボム兵もアクティビティの一つです。
Yeah, I mean,
さあどんなインタラクティブなのか、それは皆さんが実際ここに来て体験してください。
I mean, if he is there, you won't be able to miss him. Kind of big.
I mean, we know for a fact they have a Mario Kart
は
ride,
い。
as well as apparently a
戻ってきま
DK
した。
ride.
体もね
I don't think
元の
they
大
built
きさに
that
戻り
yet.
ましたね。じゃあ次へ行きましょ
Oh, fact,
う。さ
fact.
あ
I'm
次にや
guessing
って
this
き
is
たの
shop.
は
Oh yes,
Yeah.
here's the gift shop where we're going to rob you blind. You want to? This is gonna be Disney. This is gonna be Disney levels of $200 for a
ここだけ
lightsaber.
にしかないスーパーマリオのグッズを作って
So
販売
is
しています。
only is it? Oh, it's
その中
only
でも今日
Mario.
は
Not
It's
Nintendo
only
の
Mario
開発
crap.
された
Expected,
スペシャルな
but
おもちゃ
not
を
disappointed.
紹介
It's
します。
expected, but not surprised.
What is this?
Waluigi plushie.
トコトコマリオと
Oh,
言い
that
ます
looks uncanny.
名前の通りこうして押す
Oh
と
gosh,
マリオ
that
が
looks
ト
so
コトコ歩くんです
I don't
Then
like
she
it. I don't like how it moves.
開発チームが細かな動
Why
き
does
に
that
まで
look
こ
like
だわって作りま
the
した
the model they
ビ
used
デ
for
オゲーム
like
だけじゃなく
the
てこういうリアルなものを作
they
るのを
used
開
for
発すれば
the
とても楽し
robot
めるんです
chicken
ね
shorts?
それでは皆さん
Exactly
も
what I
お楽し
thought.
みください
Exactly what I thought.
では次の場所に行ってみましょ
Oh, that's
Oh
definitely
my
not kosher.
goodness, that's
What is
no
this,
see casing.
うポップコーンですポップコーンなんか食べ
I
な
love
が
how
ら
it's
行儀が
not.
悪いと
There's
叱ら
not
れそ
gonna
う
be
ですけど
anything
も
kosher
で
there.
はユニバーサル・スタジオが作った特別なポップコーンですキャラメルピーチ味とマッシュルーム味がありますでも
Well,
オ
it's
リジ
not
ナルの
really
食べ物はこれだけじゃない
Kinopio's
んです
Cafe.
ね
That Kinopio's Japanese for Toad.
はいスーパーニンテンドーワールドでお腹が空い
Yeah,
た
says
時
it right
は
there.
こちらキノピオカフェですお
Hey, it's Luigi.
どうしルイージマリオもどうしたのあ
Oh,
そうか
oh, the mouth
写
moves.
真撮影してるの
Whoa.
か
Come on, give me-
And the eye.
じゃあカメラさんの方見て写真撮ろうかよし
Okay, so those are automatically better than just about every single.
Okie dokie.
Please, can you show us Waluigi?
They have Wario and Waluigi costumes. Where
あり
are
が
they?
とう。
Please.
じゃあお父さんもね、
Those are
忙しいから
automatically better than every other stupid
ありがとう。
costume ever just because of the eyes.
さ
I
あ、
don't
じゃあ
know.
キノピオカフェの方に入っていきましょ
It looks a
The eyes
little like
actually look non-threatening. I'm surprised.
う。はい、キノピオカフェに入ってきましたね。
Please.
ここでもなん
Oh,
か
it's like you, so
アイ
you
テム
have
が
to
もらえ
try
る
to.
みたいです
Come
よ
on, this can be Waluigi's taco stand.
あ、ここにあり
This
まし
really
た
is 3D world. They're
Yeah.
even doing the whole
大
floating
きな
box thing. They've got
ス
power
テラ
effect.
スに当然大きい方ですよ
The
ね
presents. Yeah, it's a Super Bell even. It's literally 3D world.
That's
half
3D
of
land.
coins.
3D land.
コインがたく
3D
さんも
world
らい
has
ました
coins in it.
And the
じゃ
stacks
あ
of
奥へ行きま
coins.
しょうか
Watch Waluigi's going to be making tacos back there in the kitchen.
Please.
Oh, no.
If Waluigi needs to be making tacos, in fact, I'm going to check the chat.
シェフが来ましたねシェフ
Oh my god, I did see one. I saw some guy say Waluigi's taco stand.
Wait, it's talking?
はい
Oh,
It's actually talking.
it's
Wow.
もう言い
Nihongo.
ましたもう
Nihongo this?
The animation is so good on this. I would not be
シェフ
surprised
が
if
ね
Bandai
開
Namco
発し
had
た
some
キノコ
fun.
料理がいっぱいあるんですよね壁には
But I love how they're not a Kinopio or Totoro.
Well, maybe that's. Well, I mean, we had to get to a point eventually where Mario characters are going to be talking because there's going to be a movie.
Oh yeah.
That's a point. I'm still wondering if Charles Martin is going to be voicing all four guys, well, assuming all
たく
four
さんの
guys
方
are
が
in it.
出席できるように
Almost certainly not. They're going to hire
天井
actual
にはいろんなパ
actors,
ワーアップアイテムがあ
probably.
りますね
Oh my
皆さん
god,
も
the
ここで
Mario
ご飯を
movie
食べ
live
て
action again.
パワーアップしてください
Oh, there's a purple
奥の
one.
壁の窓を見てください
Purple, okay.
ここか
That's
ら
close.
厨房の様子が見えます
They're praying to
キノピオたちが大勢で頑張って料理を作っ
Just
てくれてい
slaving
ます
away back there.
Yeah,
メニュー
well,
はもちろん
those are
キノコ
naturally
国
slaved.
特製ですよ
What
僕ら
they're
も
grown
シェ
for.
フが作ってくれた料理をたくさん試食してその中から選びまし
Yes,
た
of course, Miyamoto. I'm going to, of course,
例
pay
えばマリオバーガー
$100 for that
キ
burger.
ノコの
Of
ピザ
course.
ボー
Is
ル
that
など
mushrooms in a
どれも
burger?
キノコを使っていて
I
美
don't
味しい
know.
ですよ他にもたく
Wait,
さんあるので
quick
スー
question.
パーニン
What
テ
was
ンドー
that
ワー
like
ルドで冒険に使えた時
grainy
は
chocolate
ぜひ
powder
立ち寄っ
thing?
てシェフキノピオの料理を
Oh,
味
this
わって
stuff
くだ
doesn't
さい
look
ね
like food.
But then again, there's like this whole Kirby
Super
shop in
Nintendo World
Nihon
いかがでしたか？
that does the same thing where it's just
ファミリーコンピュー
stuff
タ
that
ーの
looks
ス
like
ー
Kirby
パーマリ
items.
オブラザーズが誕生して今年で35年にな
It's
ります
also Waluigi's
そ
20th
して今年
anniversary
なん
Miyamoto,
と
but you're not
そ
going
の
to
ゲ
say
ームの
that,
世
are
界を
Yeah, yeah, mention the
ここユニバーサル・スタジオに本気で作ってしまったんですねマリオメーカーのように簡単に作れればいいんですけどもリアルに作るのは簡単ではないで
Wait,
す
is
そ
it
れを
15 minutes
ユニバーサル
already?
クリエイティブの皆さんが
I
本
swear,
気で
they're
作
not
って
even
くれました
showing the ride.
今回ご紹介したのはほんの一部ですまだまだお楽しみに
He said it's only a fraction of the
ス
park.
ーパーニンテンドーワールドは
Yeah,
日本の
oh,
ユニバー
February
サル・スタジオで
4.
2月4日にグランドオープンとなります
Well,
が
this is a
現在
little
は
bit
新型コロ
disappointing
ナウイル
if
ス
they're
の
not
影響
going
で
to
海外から
show
お
the
越しいただ
Mario
くのは
Kart,
ちょっ
right?
と難しい状況かと思
Come
い
on,
ます
just show Waluigi
ただまあ
walking up.
少しお時間をいただくことになりますが日本以外の国でもスーパーニンテンドーワールドが計画されてい
Little
ます
trailer of Waluigi.
アメリカでは
I love
that
how
a-
you just said
ハリウッドと
Is that a new
Florida の
composition for Bowser's
そし
Castle?
てさらにアジアではシンガポールでも
No,
そ
I've
れぞれの
definitely
ユ
heard
ニ
of
バー
it
サル・
before.
スタジオでスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドが展開されますですがもしそれまでに安心して自
I
由
heard
に
him
生
say
きていける状態になれば
something with 11.
ぜひここ日本のスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドに来てくださいスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドは世界中の皆さんをお待ちしています
Yo, that's Bowser's Castle.
さて
Please go in there.
後ろに見えているのはクッパ城です中はマリオカートのアトラクシ
Okay,
ョン
this is
になっ
Mario
ていて
Kart. That has
クッ
Waluigi
パ
in
軍
it.
団とのバトルが待ち
Okay,
受け
so
てい
they're
ます
using Bowser's Castle as
任
the
天堂
Mario
とユ
Kart
ニバーサ
ride.
ルが作る以上は世界
Yeah.
初めてのアトラクションにし
This
た
is
いという意気
called
込みで
Waluigi stage in
なんと
Smash
6年も
Bros.
かかってしまいました
It took 6
Imagine.
years to make that ride?
の体験ができます最後にちょっとだけ
Wow.
お城の中を覗いてみましょうか
So I think it's at 6.
6 years to make one ride? Holy crap.
Look, it's an impressive ride.
Well,
of
it's
Ah.
not just
How-
any. It's not just
階段
some
の上
roller
には
coaster, is it? It's
巨大なク
they've
ッ
done
パ
a lot of
が
work in this.
待ち構えてい
Yeah,
ま
I
す
think let's see
just
how
the
technical
line.
it is.
おおそばから見ると
It
怖いで
still
す
all
ね
looks like CGI. I swear it's insane.
なんかろうそくの明かりもゆらゆらとしてて毛が細かいですね
This doesn't look
それでは先へ進みましょうはいもう少し先に進むと
Say what you
マ
will
リオカ
about
ートシリーズ
Nintendo,
の
you
おなじみの
can't
トロフィーが
complain. They have dedication
飾られ
in
て
their
ますね
detail.
Excuse me, Nintendo. Where's the Waluigi Cup from Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix 2?
そしてユニバーサル・スタジオ
That was
限定のトロフィー
exists.
これが今回のレースのトロフィー
Oh, oops! I accidentally paused it for a
隣に
sec.
はクッパからの挑戦状も来
Oh,
て
they
ます
wrote.
ね。
Yeah, they wrote in kanji, but there's
I
some
can't read
katana.
that.
Yeah, there's
クッパ
some
からの
hiragana
挑戦
there.
状
I
という
can...
タイトル通り、マリオに勝つためにクッ
Oh,
パ
but
たちが準備
there's
し
the
た
ride.
特別なコースでのレースにマリオチー
Man,
ムの
Mario
一員に
Kart
なって
9
皆さ
just
んにチ
hitting
ャレンジ
different
していた
now.
だきます。さて、
Everybody
チームクッパが
except
水を
Hey,
渡し
I
した回路のコースでチームマリオは勝利できるか。
Yeah, we
皆さん
heard
の
you like the
健闘を期
Mario
待します
ults in Mario Kart 8, so now everybody is Mario.
いかがでしたでしょうか。ここから先はぜひ皆さんご自身
Oh,
で
you don't
体
want
験
me to show the
して
ride?
いただけたらと思い
You
ま
have
す。
to ride in action?
それでは皆さん、
Yeah,
スーパー
I'm
ニンテ
guessing
ンド
like
ワール
the
ド
AR
でお
cameras
会い
are
しま
for
しょう。
items and stuff,
ご視聴ありがとうございまし
which
た。
also helps like
Come
stop.
back.
Our...
では、行ってきます。
At
It
least
was
have
all-
Waluigi walking at the end.
Well,
That was interesting.
that was interesting. Yeah, that was a, I suppose, as good a start as ever.
Yeah.
No Waluigi.
No sign of the Purple Lord, but it'll come in due time.
Look, they need to save the important things for a surprise.
Saving the best for last. That's what I'm assuming Smash is doing. Don't disappoint me, Mr. Sakurai.
Honestly, I did
Lin's
like it, but again, it's like I said, I'm like a jaded old man in how I feel. I feel like I would have liked it more if I was, you know, a little kid, right? If
I would be crazy about it if I was a kid.
If I was a kid, I would lose my shit, then cry because I realized I would never be going there until I was an adult.
Yeah.
I mean,
The life
that's
of a child, am I
that's
right?
the realization that you have to come to, right? Like you're like none of us have the resources to do this.
I mean, I've been looking into going to Japan when I'm 18,
you're-
so and then COVID hit, so great timing.
Yep.
But you know what I'm gonna say?
Yep.
That is infinitely better than Disney World.
You've been
Yeah,
to Disney
just
World?
Even that part.
No, I
We ain't even
haven't,
seen the rides yet.
but it's Nintendo, so it's better. Screw you.
Oh, of course.
Right. Well, so that's over and done with. So, I guess what's the topic we're on now?
Do you wanna- do you
Well,
wanna
how
quickly
about
talk about-
afterthoughts?
well, since we've just reacted to that and that's fresh in our mind, why don't we quickly talk about that? Then we'll move on to this. Shall we just say the star of the show?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me.
All right. So who wants to start us off?
Well, I kind of did
Everyone-
already when I gave up my my jaded old man opinions. So
All right. Well, here's my opinion on it. Anyone who complains about it is stupid, unless their complaint is about there being a lack of Waluigi, in which case they have a 99.9. They have a 9,999 IQ. They are a complete
Yeah.
genius if that's their complaint.
You flatter me. Because that is
But,
definitely my complaint. I saw no sign of him.
Yeah, but when did Waluigi walk in just with the Smash invitation? I mean, what the hell?
I mean,
come on.
I personally like him to just jump out of a helicopter. That seems like more his style.
Yeah, just jumps out of a helicopter and announces he has a new game coming. He has his first ever game.
It's like that one Banjo commercial. I think he jumped out of a plane once. It's exactly the kind of
makes
entrance I see
sense.
for Waluigi.
Personally, I think he'll jump out of a helicopter.
Except the difference
And then-
is he won't
and
have
then
a
the
parachute.
just won't open up.
Yeah, he can land on his feet.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's
They'll
Waluigi.
shatter, but he'll land on them.
I mean, he's Waluigi. He's basically a god, right?
Pretty much. He will descend very slowly.
He will. Our savior has ascended on us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, forgive
But
me for
yeah.
thinking that when Gleam snapped in half, I just thought, oh come on, wow, it's definitely Waluigi. Who else could have done that? Oh, that's who could have done that.
Wait. They're really overrating Sephiroth's power. The only person who could kill Gleam like that is Waluigi. I mean, come on, guys.
I mean, I stand by that. If Waluigi gets in, the final boss of his classic mode is just going to be Gleam. Like that's what the final boss will be.
Honestly, if I had to choose one for like his classic mode route, It'll just be every war rule being broken.
You know,
And then with some shit like that.
I've always been of the opinion that if we get an assist trophy upgrade, it needs to be a character that matches the format of the Fighter's Pass. Which, so to that angle, I've always felt that like Waluigi is probably best suited as as a Roy or Lucas type edition from Smash 4, where they don't really come with anything. He's just there. You just get him, right? Of course, he'll have his own classic mode route and stuff. It's just, I just don't foresee a circumstance where like you can come up with a stage and music and spirits, etc.
I've already done it. I've done it several times. I'll DM it you.
Well,
They're not gonna add Waluigi Pinball just because it's a stage that has the name Waluigi in it.
Let me have my dream.
Can I just say something?
No, I absolutely think that Waluigi has a decent shot. I just don't think he'll be a fighter pack. I think that he has a wonderful shot as a character that's just, hey, we're making characters. We're still making characters. We're not doing passes anymore. They're not gonna have stages or all the bells and whistles. Here's a guy. He's $4. You wanted him. Here he is, Waluigi, and the crowd goes wild.
Honestly, I'm gonna leave the Fighters Pass format though, because it's worked so well for them.
Well, you know, what I'd say to that is if there is indeed what they call a bonus fighter, where it's just the fighter on its own, none of the other fixings, but you may not need them, then yeah, Waluigi would fit quite well for that. The only reason I'm having doubt is because I'm really unsure that there's going to be a bonus fighter. The reason I say that is remember when they showed off the second pass, they were about to show off how many characters were going to be in it, and they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Surprise! There is a 6th one. And that got me thinking, wait a second, I think Fighter Pack 11 is the bonus character.
Okay, okay, OBS reconnected.
Good.
Oh, that almost gave me a heart attack.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, so because I'm doubting so much...
Just quickly, I've DM'd you the thing for like spirits and all that.
Because I'm unsure that there will be a bonus fighter, I'm just kind of thinking about the possibilities of him being more simply Fighter Pack 11. And with that, obviously, there's a question of, well, it's kind of an unconventional character to fit into that, because obviously, Waluigi isn't somebody who's bringing in like a new series. He's not bringing in a new universe like Fire Emblem Three Houses was. And Sephiroth didn't bring in a new universe either, but he was in a universe that pretty much had none of the fixings anyway. It had none of the spirits. It had 2 music tracks. It only had 1 stage, but they could easily add another because it was the main villain. But with Waluigi, they'd obviously have to stretch a little bit to make it work. And the only reason I think that they do that is because they have.
Okay, it was starting to lag a second again. No, I think it's fine now. I don't know if my internet's hitting turbulence or if...
I'm checking the stream health now, so yeah. It only went out for like less than 1 minute.
Okay.
At 321.
Okay. Yeah, according to my bit rate, I've got 6 megs up, so that's as good as I can do, so... Alright. Hopefully, we're good to go. Because I saw it just start to buffer again. But no, it's good. Okay. False alarm.
Okay. Was he? The reason I think that Waluigi's could work in this weird way, where they get some content to work for his spirits and his music and his stage, is because Waluigi, if he's getting added in at this point, it wouldn't have been planned initially. You see, when Waluigi got made into an assist trophy and revealed as an assist trophy, I'm pretty much 100% sure that the plan was Waluigi is an assist trophy and he will stay as an assist trophy. But obviously, people weren't all that happy with that, and I don't think Sakurai and the team would have anticipated that people would be so upset about Waluigi. I mean, that's not something anyone would typically think. What, you're telling me that the entire community is going to be upset that Waluigi, of all characters, isn't in Smash? You can't blame them for thinking that's kind of a weird possibility, but it happened, and Waluigi's demand just like ridiculously soared up. It's like a very rare exception to assist trophies where the demand went up after they got deconfirmed. You know, he's like it seemed like everybody was talking about him. Like Netflix was joking about him. You had Reggie himself mentioned it. And I'm pretty sure Polygon made a video about him that Doug Bowser watched, and it seemed every YouTuber was on about it.
I know, so less than anything. I know a spokesperson for Nintendo actually also talked about Waluigi.
Yeah, and just it seems every YouTuber was talking about it, even the ones that don't typically talk about Smash. It just seems. I kid you not. I saw on the DreamWorks have a kids channel where they talk about a bunch of stuff. They had a video about Waluigi and Smash. The DreamWorks kid channel, just like a few minutes talking about the possibility of Waluigi and Smash. It seems as everybody was talking about this. So surely, like Reggie said himself, Sakurai will definitely be aware of the groundswell of support that appeared for Waluigi. And so, because they're probably aware of that, if Waluigi's in now, he's in because of that. And because he's in because of that, they'd have to try to fit him in somewhere in the second pass, something they weren't planning on doing. Which is why, yes, he wouldn't come with what a fighter would typically come with in a fighter's pass, but that's just because he's kind of an exception, if that makes some sort of sense. He's kind of the only character that will probably be in because they didn't realize people wanted him so badly until later on. So, do you see what I'm saying in that regard?
I suppose so, but I do have to call into question the concept of 11 as the bonus, because I feel like that was just for the dramatic effect, because we're getting even more than last time, right? Not necessarily the thought that, we were only going to do 5, but then we throw on a 6th one. I feel like the plan, once they realized we're going to do another Fighter's Pass, they always knew we're going to do more, right? And as for when they would have sussed that out, I can only imagine that it would have been in response to, stuff like Joker crashing the eShop, or the overwhelmingly positive reception to Banjo and Hero at E3 2019. That's just an example.
Or Piranha Plant deleting your save data.
Definitely not that. Definitely not that. And I do think.
News,
What's up?
Then more recent news, Steve comes out and literally breaks Twitter for the first time it broke since Michael Jackson died. That was a pretty big reaction, I would say. I was surprised.
Yeah, I could.
And Maximilian almost killed himself when Sephiroth was revealed.
I'm under the assumption that there's a pretty decent likelihood that if a third pass wasn't planned before, then after an event on that scale, I'm imagining that they're heavily considering it now.
Honestly, I feel like as soon as Steve crossed it, Nintendo was just immediately put plans forth.
Well, we know in the game's code, there's still room for 4 more characters after.
I know. We also know they can add more, and I believe there was something at the start of the game there was room for 30 and something like Word of Light.
There's no way of really knowing, I suppose, whether they were getting a bonus one or not. But let's just, for the sake of this, let's go under the assumption that they do put him in Fighter Pass 11. We're talking about the stuff that he'd come with. Now, I don't think it's too far-fetched that Waluigi Pinball could get added, because remember, Mario Kart is a ginormous series, basically on the same level as the mainline games at this point. I mean, right now they're selling more than the mainline games, and it's even got its own music category in the music section. It's the only series to have 2 separate music categories, one for everything Mario and the other one just for Mario Kart. And Mario Kart, because they never brought Rainbow Road back from the 3DS, there are only 2 Mario Kart stages, so it's not so preposterous that there would be just one more Mario Kart stage. And yes, it's an entire stage based around Waluigi, but we have Luigi's Mansion, we have Peach's Castle. I know and we have a Wario stage. It's not too crazy that we have a Waluigi stage. What else do we need beforehand? A Daisy stage? I don't think so.
So I feel like the only other thing you could argue that Mario is missing is possibly a Bowser's Castle stage.
That's the main thing, and I have seen some people suggest that he come with Bowser's Castle, but I'm just a bit doubtful of that, just simply because it's kind of a weird thing come with Waluigi. But assuming they do somewhat theme it around Waluigi, I think Waluigi Pinball would be a fantastic addition, because Waluigi Pinball, this might sound like a stretch, or maybe an exaggeration. A bold claim is what I meant to say. It's a bit of a bold claim, but I think Waluigi Pinball may be the most popular Mario Kart track that exists. Unless there's maybe Coconut Mall might be more popular, But I just see
Moo Moo Metal. Moo Moo Meadows comes to my mind as one that's very popular too.
I just see whenever people talk about Mario
know.
Kart tracks, I remember Waluigi Pinball seems to always be the first one that comes about, and the song as well. Everybody heard that song.
People really remember Baby Park too.
And bear in mind,
the Mario Kart just ruined that stage. 5 laps, nothing crazy at all. Made the lanes much.
But Mario
bigger.
Kart 8 made it hell again, which was glorious.
And
yes, and it probably is much better.
The Waluigi Pinball is a track they constantly bring back. Okay, they brought it back twice. They brought it back in Mario Kart 7. Even though Waluigi himself wasn't there, Waluigi Pinball came back. I mean, that's because I'm pretty sure they did plan for Waluigi to be in that game, but some weird time constraints stopped him from actually making the cut.
Wasn't there like that rumor that they didn't add him because they thought he was too scary?
No, that makes no sense. Why would they have added him to? Why would they add him to every single other game and not this one if they thought he was too?
Well, simple.
Scary.
They thought he was too scary suddenly, and then they heard the backlash and realized, oh shit, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been just slightly skeptical to Waluigi in the past format just because of his additional content. I've always maintained that of the super popular Assist Trophy characters, Shovel Knight and Isaac make a bit more sense to fit the Fighters Pass format.
They would. That's the thing. In a typical Smash game, both of them would make more sense to fit that format. I mean, the thing is, Waluigi, like I said before, wasn't planned to be in this pass.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit the formula. But then again, that's only because Waluigi's this weird exception that wasn't initially supposed to be there. But if he is there, it was because they had to change some plans. I mean, I know for one that if Waluigi did get in, I can't say somebody else must have gotten cut to make room for him. But of course, they wouldn't want the PR disaster of actually saying who got cut to make room for Waluigi. So we may never know.
Oh, no.
Although then again, we're assuming that that it works linearly like that. Like according to what Sakurai we've heard about the character selection process, Nintendo gives him a list of names and asks, is this viable, yay or nay? If Sakurai says it's viable, they pursue the negotiations, and then they get the ultimate yes or no. That's how it seems to be, right? And if it's a first-party character, they don't even have to negotiate. They own it. So I don't think that Waluigi's inclusion would ever come at the expense of someone else, personally. I feel like if they wanted to include Waluigi, they would suss that out at the beginning of when they would plan a Fighter's Pass. Like, in fact, I'd say that Waluigi and, let's say, I don't know, just to fulfill my fantasy, we have Waluigi, then Character Pack 10 is going to be, I mean, not Character Pack 10, we're on 9, right? 9's going to be the next one? Okay, Character Pack 9 is Isaac, and then we had Min Min. Well, those 3 would be the characters they got at the very beginning. Because, like, they're obviously Nintendo-owned characters, and then they'd go further and negotiate the other ones, and then, just to fulfill my other dream fantasy, the other guy that's still left to be announced is Doomslayer, for example, right? Right, I just throwing out examples there. I feel like, I don't think that they would ever include a first-party character to the detriment of a third-party character, because I feel like there's no legal hurdle, right? They can just get they can just get the first-party character, and they don't have to worry about that. In fact, they would probably secure the first-party character down first. I mean,
well, that's the thing. I think that if Waluigi did replace anyone, I don't think he was replacing anyone now, but if he did replace somebody, it would be the Nintendo character that would have been in the end. That's what I was going to get to, is that I think that, well, it's hard to say whether they care who ends off Ultimate, because obviously they didn't care who ended off Smash 4, it was just Bayonetta, and the last character of Brawl was Wolf. But
I'd say Bayonetta was a decently hype-worthy character.
I mean, no, it was a hype character. It's just like not a symbol. It's not like she's not the character you'd think of if you think what's the best character to end the game with. Bayonetta wouldn't really come to mind.
If we even came to all the DLC, Cloud feels like the ending character, not Bayonetta.
I mean, to some extent, but yeah, I'm just thinking that if just going under the assumption that Fighter Pack 11 or say the bonus character arc Fighter Pack 11 is the final character, it would probably be at least. I mean, if it would probably be a Nintendo one, is what I'm thinking. If it was going to be the final one to end it off.
Yeah, for sure, I can agree with that.
Which is why I'm thinking, if you want a Nintendo one, and you also want it to be really hyped, that everyone really gives a final cheer for the last character. Waluigi's a great idea.
Yeah,
I don't know how you could go wrong with it.
I definitely agree there. I definitely think that he's the crowd pleaser you go for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Waluigi's going for, so it's a good idea. And even though he may not replace any character, I imagine people will act as if he was replacing somebody. I mean, I know that Waluigi's turned into like a kind of controversial character over the years. You know, it's not what I thought would happen. I mean, back in, say, early 2018, the last thing I thought would be that Waluigi would be one of the most controversial Nintendo characters of that year. And this controversy was kind of based around, it's to do with Sakurai himself. I'm sure all of you've heard about the whole debacle where Waluigi fans, because Waluigi wasn't in Smash, they went and harassed Sakurai on Twitter until he had to start blocking some people, right? You heard all
There
that.
was only like 3 people that did that, and they all said sorry, didn't they?
Well, it's not even exactly that. The truth is, people were like spamming the comment section, like honestly, they would for any character. The reason it was all around Waluigi was because Waluigi was the big subject at that point. Everyone was thinking about Waluigi. Everyone was talking about Waluigi. So when people were going to Sakurai, they were going to Sakurai about Waluigi. But I didn't actually notice anyone getting blocked until a single person got blocked. And the person that was, I forgot what his name was, but he deleted his account later on because basically he was the enemy of the entire community.
Didn't he make like a 9/11 joke though?
That wasn't him. That wasn't that guy. This guy, what he did, he didn't make any memes. What he was doing, he kept leaving the exact same 50-tweet thread under every single one of Sakurai's tweets. That's what got him blocked. A 50-tweet thread.
Wow.
I mean, it's almost like they probably assumed he was a bot or something. But that was the guy who got blocked. But that was the only guy who got blocked. There was somebody who sent a 9/11 meme, but that's just a screenshot they got of the reply section. You see, somebody was in Sakurai's reply section. They saw that 9/11 meme, and then that was the one they used for the articles you saw everywhere. The one on Nintendo Life and the one on Vice and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it kind of got into the situation where everybody was under the impression, and it spread far and wide. I have friends I met at Leicester say who'd be telling, when I mentioned Waluigi, they'd bring up the Sakurai harassment thing because that's what they heard in these articles. But the truth is, it was just those 2 guys, even though that second guy, I'm almost 100% sure that Sakurai never saw the second guy, because that's one out of like a load of comments. That's just the one people use as an example. But you see, the other thing that went around as well is that people think that Waluigi fans sent Sakurai death threats. That didn't happen. Like, there's nothing showing that happened anywhere, but people seem to treat it as fact. And that's what's kind of given like a negative stigma to Waluigi fans, because people kind of assume that they're very hostile. They're very horrible. They'll send these things to Sakurai even though he works so hard on the game. But it just didn't happen. And I think this is one thing I hope to be able to dispel, because it still seems a lot of people still think it did.
Well, I'm definitely rooting for you there, the ability to fight back that negative notion, because I've never met a Waluigi fan that is actively hating on Sakurai or anything like that. I don't think they do. I just think that they just like their purple meme man, and if he gets in Smash, he gets in Smash. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Whatever. You still have the funny purple. I mean, you still have the purple funny meme man, right?
I have had 2.5 years to accept the reality that he might not get in this one. You know, that's like the most likely scenario anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think the vast majority of people take it that seriously to the point where, like, you'd consider death threats. So like this whole idea that like. This whole idea that like
people sending death threats over this.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah, of course, I want to point this, and I do want to point this out. Okay, like you're talking about like the people that aren't uninformed about the situation. I remember there was like this one time during the summer of 2018. I was hanging out at my friend's pool, and the topic of Waluigi came up in just passing conversation. I had only heard the surface level stuff, so I literally said, like, my friend asked, "Oh, what's your opinion on this whole situation?" And I said, "F Waluigi, I don't want him in." And that's only because I thought that people were acting like that, and I didn't learn how the situation actually was until a little whiles later. In which case, I kind of went back after the fact, and it's just like, yeah, no, I don't, I was wrong there. And since then, though, I'm not actively rooting for Waluigi just because he's not my character of choice, but he's one of those characters where if he got in, I'd absolutely be happy just for the sake of his community. Like, he's not my fighter. I want Isaac personally, but if he gets in, that's cool. You know, like I'm happy for you guys, and I do think that it would be a positive showing that, you know, like Waluigi fans aren't crazy, right? And I do wonder if, although I do wonder if there would be a negative kickback, like, oh, Smash fans bullied Sakurai into including Waluigi. Like, no, obviously you guys didn't. There was an outcry, and there was a demand, and they're a company. They live by demand, so they met the demand. That's all there is to it. There wasn't like bullying or rudeness or anything like that. And I feel like people that over dramatize that stuff, they're just trying to get clicks and views and stuff, like boost up their own ego, their own web presence. And I just find that sort of stuff despicable, honestly.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I remember, I think I know exactly where the negative stigma started, was simply when one guy tweeted out that Waluigi fans were harassing Sakurai, and he said to block many people, and people took that's the exact tweet that people use. I mean, if you see the Nintendo Life article, you'll see that guy's tweet that kind of started it all, and because that one guy said that, everybody, I guess, a section of the community just kind of turned on all the people asking for Waluigi. You know, I remember the top comments on every Game Explained video, even the ones that weren't about Waluigi, were just "fuck Waluigi," because kind of, I think it was because kind of Waluigi had been the subject of the entire community for like 2 weeks or something. I can't imagine some people weren't a bit tired of hearing his name around, and once people heard that like Waluigi fans are actually terrible, they're actually being very mean, they're harassing Sakurai, they're being very hostile. It's like ample opportunity to jump on this bandwagon of sorts that kind of, like, yes, fuck Waluigi. He's just never been in, and people start saying he's not even worthy of being in the first place. I don't know why you even suggested it. But the weird thing is, do you know why people were so surprised that Waluigi wasn't in it? It's simply because, well, it's like, I swear Waluigi was the character that everyone expected to be in this game. Like, you know, it's a Smash game, and they always add a Mario character. We've got like Rosalina, we've got Bowser Jr. now. They brought Dr. Mario back. What other Mario character would they typically add that's very easy to add? It would be Waluigi, wouldn't it? Like,
but they swerved and added Daisy.
Well, I mean, people considered them adding Daisy, but I think people ruled out Daisy exactly for the reason because they thought she'd be too similar to Peach. And turns out that was what got her in the first place.
Like, I remember, like, base speculation, it was always between three. Paper Mario...
Who was that one guy that... Who was that one guy that, like, had, like, was overly attached to Daisy? I don't remember his name.
We are
Memory Man?
Memory Man, oh, God. That guy will live in my nightmares. Okay, because if you guys don't know, like information came out about him, like, okay, I don't want to get too spicy on the podcast, but information came out about him, like, having gross fantasies about her. I'll just leave it at that. It got more explicit than that, but there were like pictures of him in Discord and stuff, and they were legitimate. So, ow. Ooh. Yeah, no. Yeah, so for me, it's I have a hard time reconciling anyone who's down for Daisy and interested in that character and her in Smash without then considering him. He's like, that guy tainted the entire character for me.
Well, yeah, the thing with Daisy's, like, she's the kind of character that people on a general scale kind of like, but also there's a section that find her very annoying. But the actual, like, Daisy fandom is insane almost. It's like, they're a very strange bunch. I don't know how to describe them. Like, some of them, like, kind of cross over with K-pop stands or general stands in general. So they kind of just they don't talk normal. And for one thing, they're also very pay a lot of attention to detail. Do you know there's an entire wiki dedicated to just Daisy?
What?
The We Are Daisy wiki, where they go over every single appearance she's had, small, major, and small. And I've never seen that much dedication to a character. But whenever they always seem to come up with the Waluigi thing, because in their eyes, it doesn't make sense for Waluigi to get in the game until Daisy has a completely unique moveset. They did not find it fair. They did not find it fair.
Like, just being acknowledged in the game at all is an honor. Like, you don't see, like, Dark Samus fans being angry that she's an Echo. People were just happy that Dark Samus is in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not simply being acknowledged. She's literally one of the fighters. I know she's an Echo, but she's treated like a fighter. She has a classic mode run. She's on all the banners. She's got an amiibo for Smash. She's the only thing that she doesn't have that most Smash characters have is a unique moveset. But she at least shares a moveset with like an S tier character here. I thought she got a pretty good deal, but apparently not. I kid you not. I saw a petition to give Daisy a completely unique moveset. Yeah, that one didn't go. I imagine that one didn't go through because why would they do that? To please those 300 people that signed it. But
yeah, I don't understand people that fight for stuff like that. Like you made it into the game. You succeeded. You don't need to do any more. You can rest.
And Daisy, interesting was with the whole big Waluigi reaction. Daisy was kind of the catalyst for it because honestly, I don't know if it would have had the same effect because imagine if Waluigi and Daisy were not in this game. Would the hashtag Justice for Waluigi movement still be a thing when Daisy was also not in the game? I mean, I certainly would have thought, okay, it's not that weird, but then again, here we are. Daisy's in the game, and now Waluigi seems to be the only main cast Mario character, save for Toad, who's not in the game yet. And that's always been so jarring because Waluigi pretty much always turns up in all these places where all these other characters turn up. Like, he's always in Mario Kart with them, except for that one time, and he's always in Mario Tennis with them, sports, every Mario spin-off, even the Olympics. But then this seems to be the one spin-off where Waluigi does not get an invitation. And that's why you get like a lot of people just looking at this roster and asking, why isn't Waluigi on this? I've never seen a character where it seems like so jarring that they're not there. And I suppose that's why so many people like got onto this Waluigi thing. It doesn't feel right. Get Waluigi in this game. It's the right thing to do, Mrs. Sakurai. But hasn't happened as of yet. But
I will say that after Waluigi, it would bring a sense of completeness to the Mario cast. I definitely feel that.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Is that he would pretty much complete the cast, but then many people would argue that no, we still need Toad in there. It's not complete until we have Captain Toad first. That's the thing as well. It's not Toad they're talking about. They specifically want Captain Toad, and you know the reason why it's Captain Toad out of all of them is because he's the one with the game. And there's I guess is what you call those fan rules I hear so much about, is that every Mario character that gets in has to have a game. If they don't have a game, they're not worthy of Smash.
Piranha Plant.
Rosalina,
Daisy if you count Echoes, and even Bowser Jr. I mean, I know there's like Bowser Jr.'s Journey, but that's like a side game and a remake that no one bought.
And also, after he got in Smash.
The Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga remake actually did sell quite well.
Well, that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Bowser's Inside Story remake, which sold about 20,000 copies. It killed the company.
Wait.
Well, actually, the wheels were coming off of Alpha Dream long before that point.
They were, yeah, but I think they might have lost a bit longer if they weren't made to release a 3DS game in 2019, which was a remake of a game you could already play on that console.
Which was basically just worse than the original.
Yeah, well, I mean, people just preferred the original to it. I mean, the only thing the remake had over it was, well people didn't like the new graphics to it, and it had Bowser Jr.'s Journey, but the gameplay the gameplay for Bowser Jr.'s Journey was just not fun. No one really liked that one.
And
should have given it to the intelligence system guys. Let them do a proper tactics game.
Look.
Yeah, that might have been more interesting, because this one just kind of just watch them fight and occasionally give them a buff for like several hours.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. Give them to intelligence systems, the Fire Emblem guys. Like, just as a tiny side project. I mean, obviously they're busy with, their super successful now Fire Emblem series, let them work on that, obviously. But, just make something more mechanically engaging.
But that's
one thing I always wanted. I always wanted a Mario and Luigi game that also crossed over with Wario and Waluigi. That was one of my dream games, and that was never happening most likely.
Oh yeah, I actually thought about that. Like Mario and Luigi, I would have called it like Mario and Luigi, Wario and Waluigi, or Mario and Luigi 2x2, or something like that.
I was thinking of calling it Mario and Luigi 2x2. That's what they called Partners in Time in Japan. But I'm thinking that if they made a Mario and Luigi game with Wario and Waluigi, I'm thinking maybe Chaotic Quartet. That seems like a very nice name. It's got the C sound at the beginning of both words. There are a billion names they could come up with for a game that had Wario and Waluigi in it. But yeah, if there's going to be a game with those four, it probably won't be in the Mario and Luigi series anymore. But that's a weird thing. People always kind of see these four as a four because they're so acquainted with each other. They're all got the mustaches. They're all like associated with each other in some way. They've all got the same clothes. They're all voiced by the same guy. So that's why it's always seemed weird to people when Mario, Luigi, and Wario are somewhere, but Waluigi isn't. And people have been questioning that since the very first time it happened. That being
64 DS.
Exactly, 64 DS.
I remember that.
2004.
I was one of those kids that followed the fake YouTube guides on how to unlock Waluigi at 64 DS. And I still wish that was possible to this day.
I remember I spent so much time. You know that Arceus person who that WWR who did upload that Waluigi thing.
Yep,
I remember that guy. He made that.
I went through all that several times and I never unlocked him, and I ended up just thinking, not that it could be in the game. I thought I must be doing it wrong. Let me try again.
Yeah. People seemed obsessed with this rumor. There's actually. I came across a YouTube video which is just simply a picture of Waluigi on Mario in Mario 64. Just a static picture. The video has 2 million views. I have no idea how. It's a picture. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how quick Waluigi just took off and associated himself with the Mario characters after only existing for a couple of years.
I'll be right back. I have to do something. I'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah, it's very interesting how quickly he took off, because by the very second he appeared in a Mario game, he just seemed to be appearing everywhere. He appeared in the next Game & Watch gallery that just dropped a year after. He appeared in Mario Party, and every time he got introduced to a game, they made sure you knew he was in this game. He was a subject of the intro movie for Mario Tennis. He was the subject of the story mode for Mario Party 3, where he just jumps in last minute and steals the last stamp. Just about 4 years after he makes his debut, he gets a primary villain role in one of the games, that being DDR Mario Mix.
Yeah, Waluigi really kicked off then, and ironically, I think this was, if it happened earlier, I feel like he may have had a different fate, but the Wii era is when they really began cracking down on individual characters staying in individual areas.
Yeah, because I noticed around the early 2000s, all the Mario characters were doing everything. Waluigi was appearing everywhere. Wario was getting Wario Land games, WarioWare games, Wario World games. Wario was doing great. Still didn't have Waluigi in them, but he was still doing well. On the GameCube, Waluigi was practically in everything. There was one year, 2005, where he was in 7 games that year. 7 games. It's just an incredible amount of games in 1 year. And yeah, it seems to be going well. It was around the Wii era that he was still appearing in a ton of games, both on the DS and the Wii. He appeared in every crossover as well. He was in the Olympics every single game from the start. He was in both. He was in Fortune Street and the DS one that was only in Japan. He was in all sorts. But then, as 2010 came around, most of the side characters just didn't seem to be able to do much. Rosalina was even barely getting anything. She appears less frequently than Waluigi and Daisy these days. And I do miss that time when they were really experimenting with all these characters. And that's why I feel that why we didn't get much these days is because Nintendo aren't taking risks anymore like they used to. They kind of play it safe. They have Mario be the main man in pretty much everything. They took out all the original characters from the RPGs. You know, I feel if Nintendo were acting like how they did in the early 2000s, Waluigi would be in Smash and have a game by now. But
yeah. And here's the thing: when they do take risks, they try not so half-assed. Like, remember how many chances they gave to Chibi Robo, and then last minute pull the rugs and make him just immediately die.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you get that 3DS game?
Yeah, they decided the issue with Chibi Robo wasn't the marketing, wasn't the fact that in areas they made him a Walmart exclusive. No. The issue is that he isn't a 2D platformer. Obviously.
Yeah, it didn't really work out well for him.
Yeah, that's the day Chibi Robo died.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose while it's just us here, I want to get on to say, when people bring up Waluigi for Smash, obviously there are many reasons why people say he should not be in. And I've been on this Smash scene for like 2.5 years. I've heard them all, every single one, and it's kind of weird hearing them so many times, because many of them I know people. Basically, everyone says this for their characters, that, you know, all the arguments against them don't make sense. But the ones I've heard for Waluigi really are questionable. Like, so the first one is the obvious one. He has never been in a mainline game. And that's an interesting one, actually, because Waluigi is probably one of the most anomalous characters I've ever seen, where he is technically a mainline character, but he's never appeared in a mainline game once.
Hello.
Now, why do I say he's a mainline character? Is because...
Hey guys, I'm back.
Oh, hey, we were just we just gone onto the subject of basically the arguments against Waluigi that you basically see all the time, and, you know, we just started off on the fact that he's not in a mainline game, right? I
Actually, I have an argument against that, and it's going to be so stupid, but it's going to be true. You know Mario Kart DS, how Luigi has a kart, you know, the Portuguese 2000?
Right.
If you go to if you go to Luigi's Mansion 2, there's a Portuguese 3000. And
Yeah.
in Luigi's Mansion 1, you have the Portuguese 1000, so canonically, that is sort of mainline tied in.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to get to, because basically I always ask, well, why is it a problem that Waluigi isn't a mainline game? And they say to me that's, well, because he isn't a mainline game, Waluigi isn't canon. You see, I've heard that people do legitimately believe that Waluigi is not canon.
That doesn't make any sense, considering
he's in this alternate universe.
That doesn't make any sense at all, considering that they reference spin-offs and stuff in the main games all the time. Like, isn't Waluigi's costume in Odyssey?
It is in Odyssey, by name, and even a little description on it related to Waluigi.
And then there's, like, the stuff where, like, you have the Mario Kart appearing in the Paper Mario games. Right.
Yeah, and then you have to question that if Waluigi isn't canon, then why does he get merch in the same, like, lines as all the rest of the mainline characters? Why does he have 2D artwork?
Better question. Is there even a Mario canon?
That's the question. There really isn't. I mean, as far as Nintendo will tell you, they're all canon. They're all canon. Even the Olympics are canon. You know that one where, like, it seems that, like, all the people in the world have died and they've been replaced by Mario and Sonic NPCs. No, it's just that, like, I mean, I remember I read the Super Mario Encyclopedia they made in 2015, where they list every game and talk about them as if they all happened. No mention of none of them being canon. And Waluigi especially, he has an amiibo in the Super Mario line of amiibo. He's listed as a Super Mario character. He's got all this merch that's listed under Super Mario. He's drawn in the exact same 2D art style as all of them that they usually use. And then people would tell me, no, he is not canon, because only the mainline games are canon, and that means Waluigi is not canon. And it just doesn't really seem to make any sense. But Waluigi is kind of an anomaly in that sense, where he is a mainline character that's never appeared in a mainline game. He should. And if you want to ask the reason why that is, it's just because the stories in the mainline Mario games are so simple, they just don't have room for Waluigi. It's not just Waluigi. They don't have any room for Wario in these. I mean, they
rarely even have room for Luigi anymore.
Yeah, they just kind of throw him into Odyssey somewhere, just because only at this point they've realized yeah, we kind of have to have Luigi in this somewhere. But they've only just got to that point with Luigi, but they seem to have feel to have no obligation to have Wario, Waluigi, or like even Daisy, or even Rosalina most of the time. You know, it's like after the first...
I feel like one of the Mario franchise's biggest problems is in Miyamoto's design philosophy characterizing the remainder of Mario's existence, which is like, gameplay first, no matter what. But the thing is that as technology and game design standards have progressed throughout the eras, we've come to expect, like, you know, a bit more. I'm not saying that Mario needs to be like not to be Kingdom Hearts or Xenoblade Chronicles in terms of complex, but I am saying that it would do wonders if they could just do a little bit more in terms of storytelling and and stuff. It's just like even Mickey Mouse, who is the archetype against which Mario is obviously based. Even Mickey got to start having more interesting and dynamic tales being told with the character and the universe after a while, right? So to that angle, I think that Waluigi's appearance in the series sort of depends on them moving away from that we have to be so simple philosophy, right? Because
exactly, it's not a simple case that they're keeping Waluigi out of the games.
Okay, so I'm one of the weird people. I know that people generally seem to prefer Galaxy 2 to Galaxy 1. And I understand that, like, just from a gameplay design perspective, Galaxy 2 is probably the better game. But I personally prefer Galaxy 1 to Galaxy 2 just because of the narrative, the very minimal, might I add, narrative complexity and depth that was added through the character of Rosalina in the storybooks. And that's the sole reason I prefer Galaxy 1.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would. It's just because I used to, but because I've been replaying these games, it's obviously because now that I know the story, I end up having a lot more fun playing Galaxy 2 again than I did Galaxy 1. I feel they really fixed levels there. But yeah, it is really disappointing that Galaxy 2 essentially, they've done the story in Galaxy 1, and then Galaxy 2 was just Mario's going out to space again. You know the drill. Peach's been taken. Go get her. But Bowser's big now, though. He's going to get a big cake if you don't stop him. But here's the thing. The funny thing about that Mario Galaxy story is that wasn't meant to be there. Funny enough.
I know.
The Rosalina storybook, they kind of Koizumi, I believe, kind of snuck that in, even though Miyamoto said he didn't want too much. There'd be too much to Rosalina's character, but he just had to put that in, and that's why people always find it very jarring that she seems so deep in Mario Galaxy, and then every single game after that, she just seemed very bland, and there was nothing to her because they'd never planned for there to be anything to her.
Which I think is a shame.
They snuck in her character.
Yep.
Now she just doesn't have one. They just kind of...
I definitely think that's a shame. I think that these characters could, at the very least, could have, something of a backstory. Could at the very least have something of a goal, right? Or a motivation. Like, for example, like Waluigi, there's the notion that, he's a fake Mario brother or something like that. Do something with that then. That sounds cool.
It's very interesting that, there has actually been a decent amount of development done to Waluigi, believe it or not, that some would even call him one of the most complex characters in the main cast. Now, some would be confused at that because it depends which game we're talking about, basically. Because Waluigi's been handled by God knows how many developers. It's never the same people handling him. So there's never... Nintendo
the main ones are
really
Camelot, right?
Well, Camelot are the ones who made
Konami
him.
at some point, Ubisoft, if you count Bwan's, the people who made Mario Strikers.
That's Next Level.
Next Level.
The people, how's their name? The people who made Bomberman, Hudson Soft.
Yeah, Hudson.
Who hasn't bloody mastered with Waluigi? Waluigi's literally.
Well, apparently Nintendo's main development branch. That's who hasn't.
Oh no, even they've messed with him. They give him a costume.
Mario Kart, they did the Mario Kart ones.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart team. They are definitely Nintendo main development branch. Okay, so
yeah, Sega used them. You can even count Capcom if you include some of the Japan exclusive
he's like
arcade
chicken
games.
pox. Everybody's touched him.
Yeah, everybody's been around this man, and he's been in just a ton of games as well. I actually counted how many games he's been in, and I think the number comes around to 80 something if you count every cameo. I mean, if you want to count playable appearances, it's over 60. But then, literally 80 games he's been in some form, and from developers from all over. And so, with being in that many games, you'd think there'd be a lot of development to his character, and there is, but it's only in some places. Like, say, what I find interesting is partly how he differs to Wario. Because one major complaint I see towards Waluigi is he's basically just a tall, skinny Wario. But I've seen some games that really kind of show how different Wario and Waluigi are in their motivations and what they're looking to get. I think a good example would be that you know how Waluigi's main motivation is to be famous, while Wario's motivation is more so money. He doesn't really care about getting famous. If you want proof of that, look at anyone ever played Wario Land Shake It?
I played 10 minutes of it, couldn't stand the controls, and then proceeded to put it in my game shelf and never touch it again.
Okay, well, I'm going to assume you don't care about spoilers then.
No.
Because basically, when the game ends, Wario's basically, he's saving the whole kingdom, and he's just saved the queen. The queen is walking up to thank him, but then before she even gets to thank him, he grabs her, tosses her aside, because he was only there for the bag of money that rains endless money. And then before he even get any thank you, he just leaves with the money.
YouTube proof Wario breaks the economy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he would have done that, but then Captain Syrup steals at the end because you might have forgotten she was in that game. That's weird. They gave her a whole redesign and everything, but she was just a shopkeeper. But you see, that's the thing
it's
Wario.
the Funky Kong. It's the Funky Kong problem. Tropical freeze.
Literally. And then that's the thing. So, could you imagine Waluigi doing that? Could you imagine Waluigi? You got like a beautiful queen there, about to give him thank you, maybe even a kiss like Peach does. The whole kingdom's about to worship him, but he's like, nah, I just want the money. Do you think that's a Waluigi thing he'd do?
No, he'd absolutely bathe in that glory.
Yeah, he'd have them watch. He'd have them build statues in his honor. but no, and one good way to tell them apart, with Waluigi actually being involved this time, was actually one of my favorite story mode in a Mario game. The story mode for the London 2012 Olympic Games. And this part of it was in the prequel story. Yes, believe it or not, there was a prequel story to a sports game story mode. Where Eggman is training Metal Sonic for the Olympics, but he's looking for a good challenger for Metal Sonic. He sees on the screen that Waluigi is hanging around outside Big Ben for some reason. So he goes out to Waluigi and tries to convince him to take Metal Sonic on in a challenge to train him up. But Waluigi's like, I'm not interested. I'm going to practice my sprinting by running away from you. But before he does that, that's literally what he says. I just really like his one-liners. But and he literally gets down, prepares to sprint off, but then Eggman says, wait, Waluigi, what if I told you that I could help sabotage Luigi so you can win some gold medals? To which he instantly turns around and walks up saying, you can do this for Waluigi! Waluigi will hear all the details now. and basically, he's like, if you beat Metal Sonic, then you will, I will help you sabotage Luigi. But he doesn't beat Metal Sonic, so he runs off with nothing. So later on, they need a new opponent for Metal Sonic, and they see Wario hanging around the exact same place on his own. So they go out to see Wario, and they use the exact same tactic on him. Like, say, hey, we can sabotage Mario, and you can win some gold medals. Wario's like, I can beat Mario without you. I need some, pay with some, actual content here. Give me some money. Or I don't know, Orbot and Qbot will work for me. So yeah, that's how they get Wario to do it. And that really kind of shows the difference between Wario and Waluigi, because not only was Waluigi not really interested in money, but also notice how he wasn't confident he could beat Luigi on his own, like Wario is. And that's one major difference. It's just that Wario is simply more confident than Waluigi. And essentially, Waluigi, in some games as well, he gets very depressing compared to Wario. He actually has some dialogue in Super Mario Party, where basically if you beat him in the solo mode, before you challenge him, he'll say, if I beat you, I can reignite my passion for challenges. Basically saying, yeah, I have no passion for this anymore. And then if you beat him, he just looks down and says, I'm a failure. Which is not a line I thought I'd hear Waluigi say. And it gets worse than that. If you don't add him to your party when you meet him in the plaza, he'll just say, when I find someone desperate enough to take me, you'll be sorry. Oh, jeez. I didn't think Waluigi thought you need to be desperate to take him. I thought he loved himself. And I'm thinking, you think Wario would say this? No, he would not. He's usually quite jolly. And so yeah, ultimately those are the difference between Wario and Waluigi. Waluigi wants fame, but he's not as confident in himself. While Wario believes he's on top of the world and loves money.
I feel
and
like
that's just like
Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying, and that's only like the deeper part of it. I mean, when you just look at Wario and Waluigi, they have a very different demeanor. Waluigi is very suave. He likes dancing around with a rose. He's very, very energetic, very cocky, very boastful. And what Wario is just unlike Waluigi, while Waluigi is kind of a scoundrel. Wario is kind of just very brutish. He's very macho. He loves flexing his muscles, and he doesn't really move very. And also, as well as that, Wario is just generally kind of gross. I mean, I know people, he didn't used to be like that. They used to just be more like the muscly side, but since WarioWare around, they kind of just made Wario the gross guy. Picks his nose, he farts. Again, could you imagine Waluigi doing any of that? No, he wouldn't. He's got a reputation he's trying to uphold. I literally saw a clip from the first Strikers game where Wario, when he's running out into the field, he's saying, "Hate me, hate me." And Waluigi is just railing in all the praise. So that's probably the biggest.
Going with
And
the
then
sad,
he also does the whole.
going with the sad Waluigi angle from the Olympic Games. Maybe Waluigi only hangs around Wario because Wario is the only person who'll give him the time of day.
That's pretty much it. I mean, they make it pretty clear in the games that Waluigi doesn't have any friends besides Wario. I mean, like you look at.
There you go. There's
Mario
a perfect opportunity for character development. Give him a
really is.
friend.
I mean, he's the one that like Wario's the one that brought him into the Mario series. He had no association with any other characters before. No one even knows where he comes from. He just turned up. The only thing we know about him is that he watched from the shadows for years, literally years. So I mean, you're thinking he probably wasn't watching with anybody in particular. And
wait. So he's the shadow creatures from Galaxy.
Shadow creature from Galaxy. I mean, they just say watch from the shadows. Even in Mario Odyssey, the hat says this hat makes you want. Sorry, not the hat. I think it was the torso that said this outfit makes you want to lurk in the shadows, waiting for a chance in the spotlight. It's interesting that I'm assuming that Koizumi had something to do with that. So the guy who's making the 3D Mario games is aware of Waluigi's character and how he's waiting for a chance in the spotlight, which is why I always thought they'll try to do something with him one day if they can, because they just maybe he's been paying attention, but they just developed Waluigi's character a significant amount since he started out. And I'm just interested to see where they go with it.
A part of me really doesn't want him to show up though, because I'm scared they'll make him lose what is special. And that's because Mario games, besides maybe the exception of Galaxy 1, which had some story, aren't really known for story. They're known for gameplay and good gameplay at that, but I feel like Waluigi is a character you need to continue building up, and not just put him in like a fun little platformer.
Well, game that would be something, or maybe a Wario game. I've thought of many ideas for a Waluigi game, and the reason why I've thought a Waluigi game could work so well isn't just because I like Waluigi or it's character people like. That won't always work, I've seen concepts. People say that they want a Daisy game, but what would she do in a Daisy game? And they say, oh, she would go back to Sarasaland. Yes, it would all take place in Sarasaland, and she would save Luigi. Yeah, and she'd save Luigi in Sarasaland, make that happen. And everyone thought, well, it's just a Mario game, but with the characters switched around. But Waluigi is an interesting one because Waluigi has a motivation, which is interesting because you realize, do many of the Mario characters have much of a motivation? Like, what's Yoshi's motivation?
Saving Mario.
I guess, but if there's no Mario to save, then what's he doing?
Jumping off bridges.
Just jumping off bridges. Daisy's motivation, it's I heard she likes winning, but then that same description will say she wins all the time. So then she's kind of reached her goal already. Peach, she rules over the Mushroom Kingdom. That speaks for itself. Mario,
to be fair, Peach has had a game in Super Princess Peach. But
she's had a game where all they did was, well, it was Mario, but the roles are switched. It's now
And-
Peach
and
saving Mario and Luigi.
And she has the power of emotions.
Yeah, and people didn't really like that game all that much, so it just kind of that's probably why they didn't not making another one, and it's definitely why they haven't made a Daisy game, because if the Peach game barely worked, why would they make one about Daisy? But
Yeah.
Waluigi's different because his associate Wario, his games work great, and I'm thinking Waluigi, while Wario's had a simple motivation of get money, it paved way for so many games on that simple motivation, and Waluigi has one too, which is to become famous, become number one. So the basically end goal of a Waluigi game is to become famous in some way. And you could do all sorts. You could try pulling off the hero route, but failing miserably at it. I mean, I always thought he could try saving Peach instead of Mario, but instead of doing it the normal way, he'll sneak in around the back, hide some TNT under the castle pillars, and then blow them up once he gets out of there. But unfortunately, he blows them up while he's inside the castle, and just has to try to get out alive. I mean, I imagine Waluigi doing it in quite an explosive way like that. I also thought what an ingenious idea I thought is because people were scared that like if Waluigi gets a game and like it ends with him becoming famous, he'll lose what part of what he is. Because if Waluigi's famous, what does he have to strive for, right?
Well, that's the basis of character development, right?
I will
Eventually,
admit,
characters change. That's just how that works.
They do change, but
I don't think that's why people are scared. I feel like they're scared he'll lose the relatability because
that's the
why
problem.
Waluigi got so popular. This is the reason I personally care for him, and I don't have a problem with him getting popular. I have a problem with him losing that relatability.
Yeah, what the thing is with that is that I don't want to either. I do not want Waluigi to suddenly become super famous in the Mushroom Kingdom because then he is not going to be acting the same if everybody likes him. That's not what's going to work. But what can work is if, say, Waluigi does become famous, but in another universe. What I mean by that is basically kind of like Waluigi gets warped to another world. I like that idea because it will basically mean that his position...
Waluigi Isekai.
That's it. I wanted to use that word, but like I was just want to make sure everyone knew what that word meant. Yeah, but it's basically, yeah, Waluigi is the guy. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like I said, whatever happens in that universe is not going to change how he's perceived in that other one. And my idea for that was basically that universe is in peril, and someone hears these stories of Mario and Luigi, the Mario brothers, and they're thinking, we need to get those guys over here to help us out. So they like summon a portal right outside the tennis court that they happen to be at, but somebody else ends up stumbling through the portal after he's walking out in a strut because he's losing. And yeah, so Waluigi ends up there, and he kind of, while they're kind of confused, like, is this the famous Mario and Luigi? I'm like, oh, you heard it wrong. It was Waluigi. I'm the guy you heard about. I'm the guy who did all those things. Where's my prizes? So yeah, essentially Waluigi then has to save the universe, and it goes all sorts of ways. I think it could work because the reason he's doing it is because he wants them all to worship him. But you know, it's kind of and you can get the best ending based on how many people you help or something like that. And you can be really tests Waluigi's priorities.
So it could be like Oddworld then.
Yeah, an Oddworld. Kind of like the world would be like crazy and weird. I'm thinking I would love some kind of spiritual successor to Wario World because I don't know if you know much about Wario World, but that game was weird. All the levels were uncanny. All the bosses were creepy as hell. Like it was just an absolutely insane game, and I think that would work perfectly for Waluigi. Just have these uncanny, crazy worlds and characters that only he would fit in with. and yeah, I think that's what they could base game around, like some kind of 3D platformer, because you can never go wrong with these 3D platformers. It would have like a bit more combat in it. He'd use like a bunch of tools he picks up along the way. I'd like him to have a grappling hook. That's like I think that's Waluigi's style, to just hold like a grapple gun. Wailing that around, but the thing is, it's broken. So what we can do is basically grapple onto enemies and hurl himself at them, his entire body at the enemies.
Who would you want to make the game?
Oh, that's interesting. Who would I want to make it? Because I know Nintendo themselves wouldn't make that.
Well, yeah, Mario characters aren't allowed to develop as individuals.
Yeah, not when we're doing it. But I would love next. I mean, I think Next Level could
actually.
Make it.
Actually, I do got a question. What's your take on the concept of like that rumor that was going around for a while that like Nintendo now is like reeling in the alternative takes on their characters and universes because they don't want them to deviate from Miyamoto's vision too heavily. Like for example, like how the Mario and Luigi RPGs they became more like narrative driven and had a more comprehensive universe and stuff, and then they kind of got watered down after Dream Team. Especially after Dream Team.
I swear,
like, what's your
Mario
take on
Luigi
that? What's your take on that? Do you think that it has some water, or do you think that that rumor is just some hot air?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, just because of how they used to like. I swear, Mario and Luigi was the only Mario side series that had like any sort of continuity. They actually had a villain from the past game come back in like the third one. I didn't think they'd do that.
He actually appeared.
Character develop.
He actually did appear in Partners in Time, but it was a cameo. And if you talk to him, like
he was in Partners in Time,
and you'd get like this like long diatribe about like all the chaos he's been through since that time span.
Yeah, they were like really like building him up, and then in the third game you fight him. He's a final boss, and I think he dies. Like they legitimately kill him off. I mean, Cat Cledder died in the first one, so I wouldn't put it past him if that explosion that Volvo was in meant he died, because it does seem like that. I mean, he literally like, kamikazed himself to trying to take out the Mario Brothers with him.
I mean, that's probably the ideal ending for a villain like him, because there was like no redemption, and he's definitely way too dark for a character to be like a recurring character like Bowser. So I actually do like that, the concept of him being the Mario villain who died. I like that. And I think I would hope that in the future we have more scenarios like that.
Yeah, I remember people wanted, like, when they heard there was going to be a Paper Mario Luigi crossover, they wanted to have a Fourful Dementio team up. But if you wanted to be faithful to the canon, I hate to tell you, they're both dead.
Right.
I have to, by the way, because Sabbath is about to start. Thanks so much for having me on. Bye.
All right, later, dude.
See ya.
We'll wrap this up within maybe the next half hour's time. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. But yeah. So on that, I've noticed with those villains that they like kind of move those villains aside after one or two appearances. And I've realized the reason why in Dream Team, where like, Phantasma was the main antagonist, and you very easily thought while you're going through the game that easily, okay, Phantasma is working with Bowser, but Phantasma is going to betray him at any point, just to show that he is the more dangerous villain. But then surprisingly, no, it is Bowser that betrays Phantasma and becomes the big bad at the end. And that looked cool at the time. That looked cool at the time, but then people noticed that like they realized what Nintendo was trying to do is that like they didn't want any villain to kind of overcome Bowser. They didn't want any villains. The reason they can't keep these villains around is because if there's a threat bigger than Bowser can't be the bad guy, and Bowser has to be the Mario bad guy.
Then you can't progress the character of Bowser. Then you actually got some actual character development out of Bowser in Bowser's Inside Story. Like he's not exactly a kind guy by the end, but by the end he felt like at least a little bit of a different person by the end. And I felt like Bowser's Inside Story would go on to impact how he was characterized in future installments, right? And I liked the concept of him being like a recurring bad guy, but Mario's universe is just filled with all of these like cosmic horrors and dark entities and stuff, and I just feel like just making Bowser the bad guy over and over and over again kind of squanders that potential, right? I feel like you should just go full Kirby, like, right? Go full Kirby, like, give us like interesting and dark antagonists that maybe they're one-offs, but they are greater threats than Bowser, and I'm fine with that. At least Sonic does that all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that they with Kirby they kind of redeemed DDD like ages ago, and now they kind of just have to find some way to possess him to be able to fight him again.
Yeah,
that's where he's been possessed like a billion times, and I guess they don't want to really do that kind of same thing to Bowser, because they want everybody to know Bowser is the big bad guy who is bad by his own will.
I mean, he could still be the bad guy. It just means that in the face of a greater danger, they have to put aside their differences, and that's that's a perfectly logical thing to do in the light of greater dangers such as dementia or Fuffle, etc.
And that's where it comes back to Waluigi, where essentially, I think the reason they might not to develop these characters as much is because they don't want them to stray away from what they are. Bowser can't be the good guy because he's the bad guy. He must be the bad guy every time. Peach must always get kidnapped. Yoshi must always be, well, I guess Yoshi's just there. And Waluigi must always be just the guy who turns up in the spin-offs who never gets shown the time of day. He never gets the time in the limelight he's dreamed of so much, even though there's so much you could do with that. But the problem is they can only make a game so good because they probably don't want Waluigi to basically, I guess, have a game that shines brighter than Mario's. But then again, that's quite a hard thing to do. His games sell 17 million at least with Odyssey.
I'll pull up the existing numbers. I know they're ridiculously high.
I mean, Mario's basically the face of gaming.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to top him. But
the last time I checked Nintendo sales data, I don't tend to check the bigger games that are selling. I tend to check the smaller games. Like the last time I checked the sales data, like Fire Emblem Three Houses is over 3 million, and that made me very happy because I really, really like that game, and I'm one of the 7 whole people on Earth that defends the inclusion of Byleth in Smash. I really don't think Byleth is that bad, people. I really don't think it's that bad. But anyways,
it's not the worst thing ever. I think it was just the timing of it and how many Fire Emblem characters had gotten in already.
But I think that he's definitely one of the most interesting ones.
I would agree that he probably is. It isn't because of Byleth himself. If I had to cut a Fire Emblem character, it wouldn't be him or her, whichever one you pick.
Anyways, financial data. But anyways, go ahead while I'm pulling this up.
Yeah,
honestly,
I forgot what I was saying with Byleth. Just kind of, I didn't despise Byleth. I was just very surprised they added him because it seems Sakurai knew that people didn't want any more Fire Emblem characters, yet they added him anyway, which I think is why it got so much ire and so many dislikes, because it seemed that they just didn't even care what the fans thought. When, let's be real, most people did not want to see another Fire Emblem character just because of how many there were in. But on his own, Byleth is the worst inclusion ever. Like I said, they've done it 2 times before with Robin and Corrin. But by the way, speaking of Smash, since it's come back to Smash now, I noticed that we got the rest in peace Gino on the right there. Maybe we should touch on that at some point.
Okay, after I bring up the sales data, because you brought up the Mario stuff, okay? Okay, so Super Mario Odyssey sold 19 million copies.
Wow, is that more than Zelda or less than Zelda, or does it not say?
Breath of the Wild's at 19.75. So
okay, so it's around the same.
So yeah, Zelda's actually slightly more popular than Mario on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, has been around for a few months longer. But yeah, so on the rest in peace Gino thing, that's an interesting one because on the case of Waluigi's chance to say, he's kind of now had the only competitor for a Mario character knocked off now. It's kind of if there's going to be any Mario character coming, it's now I guess he's the only one that could happen. Although
this is just me, but I still think King Boo has a case considering Luigi's Mansion 3 never got a Spirit event. I honestly could see him being an unseen competitor, but I don't think he's anywhere near as likely.
If we're getting another villain DLC after Sakurai said it himself, Sephiroth is probably one of the most iconic video game villains of all time, so any villains they add after this point is just kind of going downhill after this point. But I feel like if they did add another bad guy, it would probably be Dr. Eggman.
That's what I'm thinking. It would be Eggman if they were adding another villain. But yeah, I'm not to put down King Boo, but I don't think they necessarily are trying to sneak in a promotion for Luigi's Mansion 3, especially now. It's kind of because Luigi's Mansion, it's sold crazy on its own. I think it's at 7 million right now. So I don't necessarily think that they feel they have to put King Boo in, especially because it seems Luigi himself is a rep for that game. Because you know how they updated his Poltergust to be the new one before the game was even revealed?
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. I feel like he is a possible candidate. I feel like if it was going to happen, he would have happened where Min Min was, and they would have saved Min Min for later.
Yeah, I think if King Boo is ever happening, it would probably be a future game, but I cannot see him happening as DLC, especially because Luigi's Mansion is already a stage. It would seem kind of redundant to just add another Luigi's Mansion stage, which more or less give off the same vibe. And not to mention spirits, yeah, there are plenty of unique ghosts from Luigi's Mansion, but I can't imagine that many being added. but yeah, so essentially, Waluigi has been left as the only candidate. But on Gino himself, man, I can't say I didn't see this happening, but didn't people really did think he was a lock, didn't they? You know, like as far as I remember, almost every single spot, many people would say it's gonna be Gino this time, hands down, or like they're gonna reveal him for E3, they're gonna reveal him as the final pass character to end it off, they're gonna reveal him as the first pass character to start it off. You know,
oh my God, he's Pack 7, guys. It's Mario Anniversary.
yeah, for Mario Anniversary, who better to add for the Super Mario Anniversary than the one guy from a game they didn't make?
From a side character, from an RPG, they don't really acknowledge.
And they don't own. They have to get that from Square Enix. So yeah, it would seem like a very odd character to pick the Mario Anniversary Evolved, where Super Mario RPG was one of the only games they couldn't acknowledge on that Twitter account because they don't own it. And so yeah, it just always struck me as weird. But yeah, it's a hard. I imagine the other day was a hard day for Geno fans who had been waiting like 2.5 years.
They've been waiting a lot more than that.
Oh
No,
yeah,
I mean,
that's the point.
I feel like he needs just to be acknowledged in Ultimate.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like
the spirit.
It's after that, like Mii costume he got in Smash 4. People kind of thought, okay, they made a Mii costume now because they're saving him for Smash Ultimate. But honestly, I really think the reason that Gino wasn't in was less on Sakurai Nintendo's part, but more on Square Enix's part.
Do you want me to be honest?
I think actually, a lot of people that are saying that Square Enix is stingy and stuff, I don't see that as being the case. I really don't.
Well, that's
I
the thing.
think
I don't
that
think they're stingy.
I think that they're profit driven for sure, right? Like
exactly.
Like Sephiroth is, if you go onto the Japanese Super Smash Bros. YouTube page, like Sephiroth's reveal trailer has millions and millions of views.
Oh yeah, like I'm thinking. I swear, Sephiroth's like the most requested Square Enix character in Japan.
Yeah, he was.
He's just like, he's abnormally like just really popular, and yeah, I do think it's not that
it was guaranteed sales.
Gino, it's that it's just that the Square Enix have a bunch of characters that are just insanely popular that they're probably going to want to prioritize, which is why Gino just essentially didn't fit into it. I mean,
Do you want me to be honest?
Sure.
I don't feel like Square Enix was the issue at all, because this is how, let's be real, if Nintendo wanted Gino, they'd get Gino. I doubt Square Enix would have the balls to say, no, you can't have Gino playing Sephiroth. Because at that point, because that would be risking Nintendo just walking away.
No, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. You guys do realize that, like, Final Fantasy is one of those few brands that are almost like Mario, up to Mario's scale. Like, Final Fantasy isn't Final Fantasy is an institution in and of itself.
Oh no, I get it's massive. But if Nintendo, I mean, is if Nintendo was dead set on getting Gino, they'll get Gino. I'm not saying Final Fantasy isn't massive.
No, the thing is that, like, if Square Enix said, "Oh, you can't have Gino, but would you like Sephiroth?" There's no way that any dude at Nintendo's negotiation table is going to say no to that. There's absolutely no way that that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I worded it badly, but what I mean is, if Nintendo was dead set on getting Gino, they'll get Gino. I don't feel like Square Enix is the issue here. I feel like the issue is the fact that Nintendo just isn't that interested in getting Gino.
That's partly, I suppose, because now I think the big difference with Ultimate is that the door is open for like any character now, which means when the door is open for any character, there's a lot more competition. And now that there's so much more competition, Gino is going to have a hard time stacking up to a lot of these other characters, especially the ones owned by the same company as him. He just essentially didn't. It's a similar case for Waluigi, because if you want to know why Waluigi wasn't in the base game for Ultimate, I think it's simply because he didn't match up to the characters they were prioritizing.
Like King K. Rool and Ridley, particularly.
King K. Rool, and they had to get new Pokemon in there as well. Isabelle to hype up the Animal Crossing game.
Ridley and King K. Rool are probably two of the single most requested characters of all time.
Yeah.
Those were. So at least back then they were, but and now that they're in the game, and now that the audience for Ultimate is bigger than ever, like now we have the biggest audience for Smash we've ever had, and they kind of all, now that those characters in the game, I think the most requested character, the most widely requested character ever has become Waluigi now. It's just it's the one that the entire internet was asking for. It seems just about everybody knows about this guy and how he
Either that or maybe
how
Sora.
it was
Maybe Sora, because Sora's been.
I mean, I would say Sora, but I think Sora. Oh yeah, Sora's been requested like crazy. Don't get me wrong, but I do think like on a wider scale, on the mainstream, just everywhere, it just seems like I've seen Waluigi requested by more than anybody else. And Sora, I mean, like, because Sora's like number 5 on my list, I'm pretty sure, or number 4, depending. I need to check. But it's like there's just this slight problem of slight obscurity with Sora. I mean slight, like there's going to be plenty of people who'd ask them talking about Sora, and they're not going to know who Sora is. But which doesn't mean Sora is disliked. It just means there's not as many people that know him yet.
It's not like Sephiroth, where it's not like Sephiroth, where Sephiroth is damn near ubiquitous with gaming.
Sephiroth. And
like people who only vaguely know anything about gaming have they've probably seen Cloud at some point, and if they've seen Cloud, then they probably saw Sephiroth too. Like it's that level.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I was reading comment sections, and they were saying, "Well, I'm happy for his fans, but I have no idea who this character is." I mean,
yeah, but then again, you also you also
about...
have to consider the fact that the people that are commenting stuff like that are diehard Nintendo fans who just have very minimal exposure to the Final Fantasy series.
Well, and just people that aren't so big on gaming in general. Like I mean, I was talking to my brother about it. He didn't know who Sephiroth was when I was talking about it, which I was surprised by. But he didn't know who Waluigi was, of course, because that's the thing Waluigi has, is that because he's part of the Mario series, he's in these games that everyone played. He's in.
And I don't feel like I'm wrong here when I say he's
Mario
like an
Kart,
internet icon.
And that's why he was able to become the most widely requested character, partly because of timing, partly because he's such a widely known character, so a lot of people could get to like him. And that's why he basically became the most requested character. But you see, people start questioning whenever I say, like, hold on, Waluigi can't be the most requested character. I saw this Source Gaming poll they did a while back where Waluigi was only in 12th place. Well, yeah, that's a poll that you did, like, among 3,000 people who got to vote 5 times each. It's a very small pool of people, you see. Yeah, it's a very small pool of people. Like, are you going to tell me that a poll that was held in the West has more support for Raimu than they do for Waluigi? In the West! Where less people know what Toho is. I don't think that really is quite right. No, again, not to talk shit about Toho, but I'm just saying, he's not more requested than Waluigi. So yeah, that's what I'd say to that. Although they'll just kind of look to like a lot of polls, but that's the thing with polls. You can only tell so much from them because there's such a small pool of people voting on them, and they're always and the other major thing is that they're prone to being brigaded. I mean, you've seen the latest ones. You know how the Heavy's won both of those, and I know Heavy's a popular character, but he's not the number one most.
We actually got Heavy for Smash on here, and part of the reason that Heavy is so weighted in those polls is because they shared the poll information on the Reddit page for Team Fortress 2, and that's how you got people that weren't necessarily interested in Smash voting.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I remember I was talking to the guy who was running that poll, and I was following it for the whole time, throughout pretty much the duration of the entire thing, except for like the first when a few votes came in. I think Rayman was at the top, and then once a few more thousand votes started coming in, it was then Waluigi at the top for almost the entire time. He was at like a 50% lead on second place.
Hey, I'm gonna go mute again for just a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so he's at Waluigi was at like a massive lead, and then right 3 days before, somebody shared it on r/TF2, and Heavy's just suddenly got double Waluigi's votes. Like he had 1,000. I think Waluigi had like 1,500. Heavy had like 3,000.
I'm sorry, but it was hard to take that seriously. It was hard to take that jump seriously.
Yeah, like after that, the polls kind of got ruined because like it was basically aiming to be the biggest Smash poll ever, which technically it was. Everybody only got one vote, and it got 25,000 votes, I believe. The only issue with that is that because Heavy was the most requested, no one really believed it was legit because no one thought. I haven't really heard Heavy come up much in Smash conversation. I don't think Heavy is the most requested character, and it got on some like news articles, and that seemed to prompt the guy to delete the poll and all evidence of it entirely. I mean, I only know the results of it because I still got some screenshots, but it's all completely gone.
I'm back.
Yeah, And I'm guessing that is because he probably got harassment because he was a heavy for Smash account or Team Fortress for Smash
He
account.
did, yeah. Everyone just kind of assumed that he'd rigged it, but it wasn't him who rigged it. It was the people who shared it to Arsenal TF2.
Look, here's the thing. I could see people rigging a poll, but I don't feel like he would, considering how much passion he had about it, I don't feel like if he wanted to rig it, it would be that obvious about it.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't, and it definitely was because somebody saw it on the subreddit. Here's the thing, though. Heavy is legitimate, request for Ultimate. I've seen a load of people want him, and it's still the case. Have you seen all those, concept videos for Heavy that they've made? It's just...
I do feel, though, if Nintendo goes to Valve to get a character, they're getting Gordon Freeman, just honestly speaking.
Well, I've heard that one, because I've been talking to some other people about it, but here's the thing with that. It's kind of going under the assumption that whenever you go to a new company, they will always pick their, most impactful character first. Or maybe, like I say, their flagship series of work. Because Half-Life, I suppose, is Valve's flagship series.
It absolutely
the only issue is some companies, I think, do have preferences on who they like to put in crossovers. And when you look at the history of Valve putting characters in crossovers, it's more so not... I don't think they put Half-Life in many, but they have used the characters from TF2 and Portal.
But they have. But the thing is, I don't think that Valve is necessarily stingent with Half-Life IP, considering that they went as far as canonizing a fan remake in Black Mesa.
They're not stingy with Half-Life. I just think that the reason we're assuming they'll prioritize it because they'll assume that they want to use their flagship series, but they might just want to add a TF2 character in, and it might be partly because. I think if Nintendo approaches Valve, it'll be because of the demand for the character. Even though the poll was rigged for Heavy, it got so big that the poll even got to Gabe Newell, who the guy who I think that's his name, the guy who's made TF2, and so now he knows that people want to see Heavy in Smash.
What did he say in response to it?
Well, he said that's really cool. He said that's pretty much it. He says that's cool. Yeah, I imagine he strikes me as one of the types who probably isn't that interested in Smash. Not towards the same for Minecraft, although he didn't own it.
According to what Gabe Newell has said in the past, he is apparently a big Nintendo fan, so I'm sure that he's at least aware of Smash and the hype around it.
If he is big into it, it just didn't sound by the email that into it, but it was just kind of that's cool reply. But I suppose that could mean anything.
Yeah.
But I think, so he knows that the most requested, Valve character is Heavy, or basically any TF2 character, and it's not a surprise because Half-Life is an impactful series. But I think in some cases, people are more looking to the characters themselves. Gordon Freeman is kind of he's the player character. There's not really much to him personality-wise. But with TF2, these characters have these big, extravagant, cartoony personalities that people just really want to see in Smash. And speaking of which, that kind of brings us back to Waluigi again, because I remember that one of the biggest complaints towards Waluigi is that you don't want him legitimately. You only want him for a meme. He's not an important character. He's never been in a mainline game. He's not insignificant in any way.
People who say that really just need to shut up and get a life.
It's like they kind of go off people only like characters based on the role they have in their respective series. I remember people telling me why do you like Waluigi but not Bandana Waddle Dee say when Waluigi is not important to a series while Bandana Waddle Dee is the fourth main character of the Kirby series. Well, that's the thing. I just prefer Waluigi's just extravagant, weird personality where he's just extremely cocky, very salty when he loses. Would literally when he scores a goal, he would just chuck a ball at a Toad's head and knock him out cold. He's literally what I love so much about Waluigi is that he's the kind of character who would do the gloating for you than that you have more respect than to do yourself. He'll do it for you, and you still come off looking like a better sport while Waluigi's being a full-on sport. He just really gives off that chaotic energy that I'd say gamers have, and I think that's why they really resonated with this character. And his constant will and desperation to become more popular, more famous, make a name for himself is something that a lot of people can relate to, which is why people have kind of just we really resonated with his character. And there's not really much more to it. I know I sound like I'm giving a real deep reason why everyone wants Waluigi, but the real reason people want Waluigi, he's just a funny purple man, and people want to see that. People want to play as that. That's more or less the gist of it. And the one more thing I mentioned is that the whole meme thing. You know how they say that you only want him for memes? I think people have just forgotten what a funny character is. Like, have you ever thought that like people kind of like comedic characters because they're funny? Why do you think people like SpongeBob? Because he was a very serious character with a very deep story. Oh, people watch it because it's funny.
No, people watch it because he's totally a meme, right, guys?
It's just a meme. People only want it for memes. There's actually like a false quote from Sakurai where people think he said that I don't think the support for Waluigi is genuine because it's like all memes and that. But like Sans is in his Mii costume, Steve is in the game. I don't think he keeps characters out because he thinks people only like them as memes. You know, I don't think Sakurai really knows what a meme really is. I mean, he clearly doesn't like them. How do you block people? Because they were sending him like a meme of Edelgard's really large forehead, and that's Sakurai Pogga's meme. Like he actually blocked people because of that.
You mean not Edelgard? You mean Haru?
Haru. Oh yeah, it was the Haru one. I forgot which one they used, but yeah, he blocked people for some of these. I just don't think Sakurai likes memes all that much. He doesn't know what they are.
I feel like I've just started a meme about him being a simp for a while.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be surprised if he is a simp for Haru, and I respect that. But still, I just find that ironic.
I do, and so yeah, that's ultimately the reason people want Waluigi is because they like Waluigi, and he may not be an important Mario character, but he sure is a prominent one. He'll show his face even if you don't want him to. And I think that's a perfect fit for Smash. Just turning up, people might have wanted you or not, but he's there anyway. I'd love how that's the thing. His trailer. You know, I have a very good idea for his trailer. Imagine everybody standing on that cliff again. You know that whole shot with them all standing, looking up into the distance.
Yeah.
But there's another cliff at the other side. Like it's like I don't know if you remember that like Smash 4 trailer where they were showing off the Mii fighters and all those Mii on the other side. Where there's like just a cloaked figure standing on the side. Like it's like the same cloak Salmon was wearing. You can't make out who it is. They're all looking on in suspense. Zelda's trying to keep everyone's morale up. They're like Fox is asking Shulk what he sees, but he's just like at loss for words. No, he won't say anything. Luigi's looking at the cloak and recognizes that cloak, but then he looks to his left and sees Simon is standing right next to him. So thinking, who could this be? But then they finally see the cloaked figure move his hand to take the cloak off, and for a split second you can see the symbol on that glove, and then bam, he throws the cloak off, and it's Waluigi holding an invitation and just gloating while he has the invitation, just like pointing out to them, like, look what I got, and then jumping out to the cliff, and the splash screen is Waluigi starts a racket. You see what he did there? See what he did there? It's like a racket. It's got the racket. Yeah. That's the tagline, and the thing is, it would keep going. You know what I like about these trailers is the ones that just keep building on it after they've done the reveal. You know, like Waluigi would essentially be taking them all on at once instead of Sephiroth, where he's basically dominating them all. Waluigi would more or less be trolling them all. You know, he'd be throwing a shell at Isabelle, kicking Kirby like a football. He'd be he'd Nana in front of him and then just step aside, or then say he'd be running up to Palutena, but instead of doing anything, he'd just hand her a rose and then run off. What I see him doing. They'd show off the final Smash by having him do a one-on-one fight with Luigi. They'd throw hands a little bit, exchange few blows, and then they'd see a Smash Ball. Waluigi jumps up and gets that Smash Ball, and I'd say his final Smash would be, in Mario Sports Mix, he has this like mechanical backpack which kind of just launches dodgeballs at a rapid pace. It's like he has like mechanical spider arms on this backpack of his, and it just launches them. So he just launches a load of.
Hello? Oops, I misclicked. I was reading a message I was getting in another server, and I accidentally clicked on their voice channel.
So yeah, essentially, that it would be the dodgeballs, then the tennis swing, and just launch it into oblivion. You see Luigi like flying off like he did in Subspace Emissary when DDD hit him with that hammer. And then finally, the final shot would essentially be Waluigi turns around and sees the entire cast of Smash Bros. like just descending from above, about to clobber him, and then you see the title of Super Smash Brothers. But there'd be like one little post credits where you can then see everybody's gone and it's just Waluigi there in an absolute heap. Long story short, they beat him up. He's lying there. He's burned. He's electrocuted. He's got an arrow and an axe sticking from his behind. There's still a little red Pikmin beating on his shoe, and then he just looks up, and there's like a shadow over him, and it's just Wario standing there looking down on him, and then he just extends his hand. He extends his fists towards him, and then Waluigi gives a little smile and fist bumps him. And that's like the final scene.
So,
that's wholesome.
okay, so one question I had was, okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, let's say an assist trophy character such as Isaac or Shovel Knight or whoever else gets in the next pack. Do you think Lynn, that's another one. That's people are angry at that one, but she's actually probably the single most popular character in the Fire Emblem series, so I low-key could see. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point. Yeah, Lindis from FE7. Anyways, okay, so...
Oh, right.
Okay, so anyways, let's say one of those characters gets in. Do you think that damages or outright ruins the chances of Waluigi to get into the game?
Well, kinda and kind of. It's hard to say, really. I mean, like, is this assuming that, like, okay, is this assuming there's a third pass and Waluigi still isn't in yet, but both Isaac and Shovel Knight are, or like only one of them?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I was just throwing out the concept. Like, let's say our next character reveal is Isaac. Do you think that then hurts the potential for Waluigi within this pass or afterwards?
I don't actually, because if they could, I mean, that would straight up show that they can promote assist trophies. So if they could promote Isaac, I don't see why they could not or would not promote Waluigi. It would seem almost inevitable is coming after that. I mean, I was already kind of using Min Min's inclusion just to say, look, okay, that's kind of proof. If a character is already in the game, they would not care, but they still have to have a reason why they want to do it later on. And I think people have given Nintendo plenty reason to add Waluigi after he got deconfirmed, because they showed Nintendo that they kind of really want to see Waluigi playable, to the point where they made it mainstream. The Washington Post wrote about it.
Right. That's what I was just wondering, because some people like to say that, oh, well, these characters, these assist trophies are in competition. You can't be friends amongst them. Your Discord server is a fraud. And to that, I've always said, like, look, if just one of us gets in, that proves that any of us could get in, right?
It's hard to say. Like, I would say I can't.
I personally have always felt that it's kind of silly if people say, "Oh, Waluigi's in the game, so there's no way that they're going to add Isaac or Shovel Knight or any popular characters like that."
I would agree that they wouldn't add like five assist trophies or something to the roster. I think it would be like 3 maximum.
Yeah, the 3 that come to mind for me are Isaac, Waluigi, Shovel Knight.
And those kind of thing.
I would also say it would have been Bomberman if his Mii costume didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Bomberman at this point.
I feel bad for his fans.
Hey, that's probably like one of the coolest Mii costumes that we've seen in a while, that it has alternate colors. That's actually really cool.
It is, yeah. You got a deluxe one. The same can't be said for the unfortunate soul of Gino. Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, like, they didn't even... You'd think they'd at least change the headpiece, but I guess they had the old one, and it was ready to go.
I honestly thought they'll just put his own Mii costume, because I kind of just accepted every third-party Mii costume was just destined to return.
Somebody in the chat says, how would you guys react to, in the long term, getting 6 Fighters passes? So this is like, okay, so Smash Ultimate just lasts since the next console generation, so they'd probably port it to the next system then, and just keep doing seasons of DLC.
Okay, but I'm hoping they could do that maybe... I don't know, it's like... I was thinking... Because my thoughts on Pass 3 is that, well, it's been 2.5 years, and it's this controversial take, but the game is kind of falling off a little bit. Not with the characters that they're adding some really high characters now, but the problem is, it's just kind of the game is aging a little bit, and the competitive community isn't doing very well either, because one, coronavirus and all these tournaments being cancelled, and some controversy in the competitive community that, like, it's being killed off. There's very few things keeping Smash going other than the anticipation for whoever's going to come next.
Well, the
And
thing is,
I don't know.
I don't necessarily think that, I don't think that Nintendo necessarily cares about the competitive scene. And the people.
Well, I know they don't care about the competitive scene, but the thing is, the competitive scene is like one of the main things, surprisingly, keeping the game alive like 2 years later, because those are the people still playing the game. People who were just playing it
I
casually
want
kind
to
of
pull
just
up the
moved on from it.
information. I want to pull up the information. Smash
Honestly,
sales data.
To be honest, I feel like Smash wouldn't be dying off at all if this pass was just 5 characters over a year and not 6 over 2 years.
And that's another thing as well.
I don't even really think that it's necessarily dying off. I just think
these characters take a very long time to come out.
I think it is slowing down a bit. Like
it is fizzling out. I know a lot of
don't
people that at least have the game that they bought the first pass, but they cannot be asked for the second pass, even though the second pass has got these characters they really wanted. But it's just like it was kind of done with Smash. I mean, my friend, he bought the pass, but he's now sold his game entirely. He's just not playing anymore. And I'm just
okay. So I'll pull up the information.
So long.
Okay, I just pulled up the information. Okay, so Smash Ultimate, first 11 days within release, it had sold 5 million. Okay, and then by the end of 2018, it had sold 12 million. In January 2019, Nintendo confirmed 12 million. Then after that, the next we would slowly keep crawling up throughout 2019 and 2020, and right now we're at like 21 million. So the game's still selling. Like, it's still selling millions of copies. And then if you go into the DLC information, I gotta pull up the Nintendo sales data, which is surprisingly accessible considering like how massive and honestly terrifying an organization like Nintendo can be. But I do believe they said that their digital software sales and DLC and stuff have been up, and Smash Ultimate was a driving force for that. So while the copies of the games themselves aren't necessarily selling, they have slowed down. No doubt. They have slowed down. The hype isn't as huge, like 12 million copies in a month. But it's still selling, like, millions of copies a quarter. Like I think they've probably, if I'm not badly mistaken, we were at like 17 million by the end of 2019. So we're at 21 million now as of September. That's 4 million copies in a year. Like, any other developer would kill for that. That's still big.
The only problem now is it's still big, but the thing is, the characters, one, they too take a long time to come out, and the hype for it only goes down and down. Like, it's not going to go, like, I'm not going to say Steve is the greatest character they've ever added to Smash by an objective level, but in terms of like the reaction to it and hype for it, they kind of peaked with that. Like, I don't know how they're going to top it. It literally broke Twitter, and even Sephiroth didn't manage to do that. Although maybe it did in Japan, I wouldn't know. But they've gotten to that level where it's so hard to top. So the hype is only going to go down, and because like even this pass, it'll end by the end of 2021, maybe later, depending on how much the coronavirus has delayed it. But I'm a third pass would again take another 2 years, and I really don't know if people are still going to be waiting for the DLC at that point. What I think the best option for them to be doing would be, for these characters that they would have planned for Pass 3, have them in the next game. Because I think what they could do with Smash now is, Ultimate, they had a lot of characters, they had a lot of stages, and all music and all that, all the fixings, but what they didn't have so much of was modes. I mean, you notice how, like, the story mode was more or less just more spirit battles, but in a story form. All the modes just seem to come down to CPU battle after CPU battle after CPU battle. No platforming sections, no enemies, no target smash, no race to the finish. Really, just there's so much more they could add to the game. So it's just kind of dying for a version 2 of Smash Ultimate. Where it's just it's same characters, same engine, but you've got more modes and more characters. And I think people would spring for that if they include these characters in the next game rather than just sell another pass, is what I'm thinking they should do.
I feel
and
like
maybe put some more DLC for that one.
I'm not sure, because I feel like, sure, there's an argument there that like they kind of diminish the impact of the following title, but you gotta consider the fact this game is called Smash Bros. Ultimate, right? Like ultimate representing, in the English language, it means, the final in a sequence, right? So,
Haven't Street Fighter done that whole Ultimates Ultra thing like
Yeah, but that's like
they just keep building on that.
Well, that's the thing is the ultimate
yeah.
version, the ultimate version of a Street Fighter game that represents the final version of a numbered title, and then they don't do updates after that.
I'm just thinking they could just call it version like 2.0 or version 2 or something like that. Just and people wouldn't really mind with the name thing. It's just like because there's inevitably going to be a next Smash game, but the thing is, I don't know how they can make it just an entirely new Smash game besides just porting this one over and adding more stuff and adding more modes. Because I don't know how you go out from here. They kind of more or less perfected the gameplay. People aren't going to like it if they start cutting a load of characters. I definitely do not like that idea that they'll basically cut down the roster a ton, but just change the movesets entirely. Because the truth is, people aren't really going to like that. They're used to the movesets they have. They would rather all the work go into adding more characters to this roster than just changing up the ones we've already got. I mean, maybe Sonic's can take a few more changes.
I feel like when Sakurai says, "Oh, we're going to have to decrease the roster count," I feel like he's just expressly talking about the Konami and Square Enix characters, honestly.
Yeah, it's more or less the ones that
characters that are in like awkward legal spots. I don't necessarily think that like for example a character like where it's mutually beneficial to include, such as Steve, where like after Steve's inclusion Minecraft started selling a lot on the Switch. If you'd noticed that, like that was actually like one of the top selling games, Minecraft Switch, during the Black Friday period. So I think that for a lot of characters where it's either mutually beneficial or there's obviously no legal hassle at all, like in the case of Sonic, I think that they'll be here to stay. I just think that the only ones that might be in danger are the Belmonts, Snake, Cloud, Sephiroth, Hero, and maybe a couple other fringe cases, maybe some of the Fire Emblem guys if you really need to make room, but again, they have the rights on lockdown. There's no reason to cut them.
Do you want to be honest? I feel like the biggest hassle may actually be Nintendo, because they have to pay for these licensing costs, remember. They won't come free, and I feel like Nintendo may not be that interested in paying for them all in base, rather than...
I don't know, because on one hand, yeah, they have to pay to get the license, but on the other hand, Smash Ultimate almost certainly exceeded even their wildest, most outlandish commercial dreams as a product, right? Like, considering the previous bestseller in the Smash Brothers series was the combined total of Smash 4, which was 14 million. This is...
I thought it was... No, I thought it was Brawl.
Well, no,
if you... standalone game, I think it was Brawl.
Yes, as a standalone game, but Nintendo's information, they counted them together. So it would have been Ultimate, not Ultimate, Smash 4, which was counted as 1, which was around 14 million. So anyway,
I'm pretty sure a lot of people bought both versions.
Yeah, that's kind of a cheat, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily matter. The point is that it exceeded even their most crazy, most outlandish expectations, most certainly, and it was absolutely a driving force for the sales of consoles. So, while there is an argument that like the licenses they might not want to pay them again, I feel like any contract that they secure in the now and then, like, oh hey, like Steve. Oh, by the way, we want to use Steve in the future, in future Smash games. Is that fine? I feel like they obviously bake that into the contract. I don't think that that would be a massive oversight if they didn't, honestly. And I just think that it'd actually be downright illogical from a business perspective if you didn't consider that. Considering that brands like Pokemon or like other mega brands like Marvel or stuff like that, they plan out their stuff like literally a decade in advance. And I think that any brand as big as Smash Brothers, it'd just be bad business sense to just not plan that stuff out. So
that's right.
So like maybe some characters like Square Enix, they say no, we're not going to give you the license to Hero, for example, for free for the next game. But if you're talking about like someone like Sonic or someone like Mega Man or Steve, for sure they have it next time. Like I don't see a circumstance where they don't.
Well, I can tell you one thing. They're going to need to pay nothing to get the license to Waluigi. So
Yeah,
Waluigi's
of
not even
course.
in this game yet.
Yeah, no, they own the character. There's no way. They don't have to pay anything. There's no legal hassle.
Yeah, I mean, he strikes me. He's literally, if you want an easy character to add that's going to hype everybody up, you have him right there. Just use him. You made the model already, people. You got the model. You just have to touch it up a bit. I mean, you don't even need to get some voice act. You don't even need to get Charles Martinet in there. He's got plenty of voice clips over the years to reuse if you really have to do that.
Just do me a favor and make London Waluigi, and I'll thank you, love you, Nintendo.
Yes, it goes that way. The bus driver Waluigi. I mean, I already have the
Speaking
old
of,
figured out on top of my head.
if you want to make like the surrounding Smash Twitter happy, it seems I think another character that could make some people happy would be some more Xeno representation. Considering I feel like a lot of excuse me, RPG Twitter seems upset that I sneezed there. RPG Twitter seems upset that Xenoblade kind of got screwed over. And another one I think that they could get the rights to super easy. Another, like, in terms of getting the rights to characters for, like, they don't have to even fight to get them. Maybe, like, again, Golden Sun. I keep throwing that one out there. Beyond that, I don't know of any more characters that just, like, easy, free hype, right? And so, you know, I do think that, what's up?
Bandana Waddle Dee.
Bandana Waddle Dee, yeah, that's another one. That's another one. Just, like, free, they have the rights to it. Just do it.
Personally, don't care for him, but I know he is among the most popular first party requests. Popular ones.
I'm gonna see how long we've been going for. We've been going for 2 hours and going on 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think we should start winding down here.
All right.
Because I feel like we could just talk forever at this rate. Good conversation, but I've got college stuff to do.
The power of Waluigi is important to the world. Anyway, should we end it then?
Yeah. Also, Nana shows up in the chat as it's ending. Great. Yeah, I'd be fine with ending it there, honestly.
Oh well, Duffy left the chat.
Who?
Duffy.
That's
Well,
oh, we usually.
timing is flipped.
Did he just log off, or?
Not sure.
Huh. Maybe he had a power outage randomly.
Oof.
I mean, he was on his phone, so maybe the battery died.
Ouch. Well, I guess we should just wrap it up then.
Oh man, that's a anticlimax if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Go tweet Waluigi for Smash, guys. Make sure to tag Duffy in that. You can find his Twitter in the
That's
description.
weird. I didn't even hear him log off.
I did.
Did he say anything, or did he just leave?
He just left. It just went offline.
What the heck?
It's just like, I think we should start wrapping this off. Well, screw you then, SpaceKing.
I don't think that's... I severely doubt that was his internal logic, because we were having a good conversation there. Well, if...
Oh, well, he's back online.
Oh, I just said, dude, we were gonna do the outro. You good?
No, I passed out.
Oh, what?
It was a joke.
Okay, I'm gonna see if we can get him on for just to say bye. Oh, he said it was his Wi-Fi.
Oh, am I? Oh, I'm back.
Oh, cool. Okay. There was a concern. We know you didn't do that on purpose, but there was the existential concern. Oh God, did he say? did he just say? Oh, SpaceKing saying we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. We should probably close this off. Did he just mentally give you the middle finger, SpaceKing? Just
no. Well, that's quite a ton of events. I just mysteriously vanished.
Avengers. He got Avengers Infinity Ward.
I meant to do that. I mean, like, I heard in Infinity War the blip, as they call it, lasted 5 seconds. I imagine it took a lot to defeat Thanos, but 5 years of work, 5 years well spent. Thank you, lads.
I was just doing this podcast just straight this one thing for 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about Waluigi for 5 years, but I'm pretty sad I missed all that. But yeah, I don't. Okay, so it's happened before where I started rambling, and then I realized that the mic had stopped working. I have no idea when I cut off just then.
I literally said, hey, I think maybe we've been going for a little while here. I think we could talk. We've been talking forever at this point. We should wrap off. And then we didn't hear you after that point.
Oh yeah. I thought, right. I heard you. I heard you loud and clear, Chief. I'm off.
You want to go for Waluigi longer? Well, screw you then, SpaceKing.
Yeah, SpaceKing, you got. Yeah, SpaceKing, you got college. I see how it is.
I know when I'm not wanted. I can take a hint.
Priorities. Clearly, you think college is more important than the WAHmaster.
Nothing. Nothing is more important than the big WAHmaster.
That's very true.
Oh, that's got to be quite possibly the single greatest outro to a podcast we've ever done.
Well, I'm quite honored to be part of this.
Well then, considering that I'm kind of the guy steering the ship right now, I guess I'll start the outro. Or actually, no, I don't even know how to do that. No, I'm going to leave this.
Okay, well, I guess I'll do the outro then. Well, thank you for joining us on this wonderful podcast. We must say it was completely beautiful. I mean, I love talking about Waluigi for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I wish I could do it for 24 hours.
In 15
days.
days.
Like I don't do that.
24 hours. 24 hours in 15 days.
That sounds like even more of a dream. That's actually my life on Twitter. You should totally follow me on Twitter. This isn't a shameless plug. No, just follow me on Twitter. Well, that said, thank you for joining us. Goodbye. This is the part when you say bye.
Bye.
Alright. I kind of already did my version of a farewell. I mean, wait, hold on, I know how to do it.
It's like Guts Berserk, just leaving without saying anything.
That's how you leave the biggest impact.
Stream end.
And
is the stream over now, or did
I was waiting for the Kirby noise, but then I realized it wasn't coming.